Racing now, and the IndyCar Series reaches Milwaukee. The stars of the Indianapolis 500 return to the Milwaukee Mile for the second time in as many years for the ABC Supply AJ Foyt 225 as 2005 Indy 500 winner Dan Weldon and two-time IRL champion Sam Hornish Jr. and Wisconsin-born rookie sensation Danica Patrick attempt to dethrone defending race champion Dario Franchitti.
This is at 7:30 on Sky Sports Extra.
This is Sky Sports Live.
It's the most historic racetrack in America. They've been racing on the 1 mile oval round the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds since 1903. But who will add their name to the Roll of Honour? It could be a Brit, championship leader Dan Weldon, smarting from a mechanical failure a week ago, or his teammate, friend and rival Dario Franchitti, who made a late charge to take the checkered flag in Nashville a week ago. This is the ABC Supply Company AJ Foyt Indy 225. Hello everyone, we certainly have a superb race in prospect for you around the Milwaukee Mile. Practice and qualifying have thrown up several stories, so let's check out the headlines. It's an all Penske front row with Sam Hornish just out-qualifying teammate Helio Castroneves. But series leader Dan Weldon has qualified well around the mile on row 2. Thomas Enger is still out of action after his crash last week in Nashville, while last week's and last year's Milwaukee winner Dario Franchitti starts in 8th spot. Tonight, I'm very pleased to welcome back to the studio, after a break, one of Britain's wisest observers of US motorsport, the former boss of Jim Russell Racing Drivers School and a committee member of the Motorsports Industry Association, John Kirkpatrick. Alongside him is our regular expert, Paul Cherry of Force 10 Technologies. But before we talk about tonight's race, let's look back at what happened last week in Nashville. Those of you who were watching that race live will have been as frustrated as we were at not being able to see the end of the race. This was due to technical problems. Bad weather in Washington knocked out the satellite feeding us the live pictures. It was all the more annoying because we missed Dario Franchitti's first win of the year. So before we move on, let's look at how he took the checkered flag. Well, Paul, as I mentioned, it was a frustrating end of the race as far as we were concerned, but it couldn't have been much better as far as Dario Franchitti was concerned, because he left it late, but perfect run out on the concrete of Nashville, wasn't it, in the end?
Without a doubt. I mean, we were about at this point where he was hunting Patrick down quite mercilessly, and when it all went blank and everybody, including us, was concerned, he drafted by easily and cruised on from here to take the win. Now, the interesting thing was that Pat was a little confused in all this, and Sam Hornish, we're about to see with 1 lap to go, just nips underneath him. So there was 2 places change there, and a very exciting last 3 laps in this particular event.
And Scott Sharp eventually coming home in 4th place. We haven't spoken much about Scott Sharp lately either.
No, Scott had a very consistent race. Like Dario, he was running in the middle group most of the event, was wise with his fuel and just had something in reserve for the end of it. So good positioning.
So it was Dario Franchitti that came home. 2nd place was Sam Hornish. Fellow Scott, of course, John Kirkpatrick. Must be a proud man.
Yeah, well, it was much needed, Keith, it's got to be said. He's had a pretty miserable first half of the season. Just lost a bit of patience early on, I think, but he needs that, yeah.
Andretti Green then, well, when their championship leader isn't able to finish the race, he can rely on his teammate to do that. So, Dario Franchitti celebrating, and soon after he celebrated with his guitar, we heard from him.
You are the winner here in the hometown track. Finally. I saw that rain there and I was thinking, oh man, it's short again, but then we let the rain stopped and off we went. The RKX car was fast all day. It just seemed to be one thing or another. We got behind a couple of people and we had some close moments. There's some great racing with Tony, with Pat, with Danica, all kinds of people. So I'm just glad to finally get the RKX car in victory lane. I want to thank the team because they've worked hard all season and finally we got one.
Take us to the restart there. You tried to get by Patrick Carpentier. You couldn't get by. He made the move back under you and the car began to fade.
Yeah, you know, Pat and I have raced together a long time and I knew I could trust him and I was really close to him and he didn't come up on me. We just held our lines, but I didn't have enough just to get by him at that point. Then I got into the marbles, pulled back, regrouped, and then went at him again. And the car was very strong. The car's been strong all weekend, like I say. And the old Honda engine in the back is making some horsepower. So, yeah, awesome.
A very happy man indeed. Now then, last week saw the retirement from the race of Dario's teammate Dan Weldon. However, Dan, well, he still has a record lead of 73 points, of course, at the top of the table, but a suspension failure there. And Paul Cherry, if I can bring you in at this point, very unusual to see a suspension failure quite as dramatic as this, especially with that team.
Yes, Andretti Green are not used to having any reliability issues, but they had two cars, in point of fact, had wheel bearing failures, which the wheel bearings and the axles in these cars are, in both types of chassis, are the same. They're mandated by the IRL. That's just one of those things.
Indeed, and there's one of those things, a Brit leading by 73 points. Dan Weldon over his teammate Tony Kanaan, of course he was out as well, so Tony Kanaan, no great progress for him in Nashville. 5 points is the difference between Kanaan in second place and Dario Franchitti in third place. Elio Castroneves is back in fourth place. Sam Hornish Jr. is in fifth place. Scott Sharp, Vida Mira, along with Brian Herter on 219. Thomas Schechter and Patrick Carpentier round out our top 10. Now let's turn our attention to this weekend. Ryan Briscoe crashed at turn 2 during second practice and will not start. This, of course, a similar situation occurred with Scott Dixon last year. That was a big crash. They decided to rest him from the race, despite the fact the doctors have actually said that he can drive this afternoon, this evening, as far as we're concerned. Paul, good decision?
Yeah, I think it's a smart move. Once you have one of those kind of accidents, yes, you want to get straight back in the saddle, but clearly when he got out, he was hurting. Yes, he's probably physically fit, but it's a smart move to stand him down, not least because it means they won't have to put any more parts on the car.
It's been a tough year, hasn't it, for Target Chip Ganassi team? I mean, we've sort of touched on the subject in the past, but again, remind us of why that may be.
There's a number of issues here. Chip obviously came into the series straight from kart. The following year they won it with Scott Dixon. They were on the crest of a wave with a Toyota Works deal. Toyota definitely lost the ball when Honda came into the series, and it's been a little bit of a decline from then on. Honda have bankrolled an aerodynamic program so that all the Honda cars have advanced aerodynamic information. Toyota have just concentrated on their engines. And in this day and age, you need to have the aero program.
Well, certainly they've got it right round here. If we talked about Penske this week, they must be absolutely ecstatic. It's a long time since we've seen a pair of Penskes on the front row.
Well, they did it at Richmond, but they've locked it out this weekend. And you know, interestingly, the guys that were on the front row last year, Mira and Kanaan, are back in the pack. Yeah, they've put it together. Penske knows this place pretty well.
Indeed. Well, we've got two Penskes on the front row. We're on the front row as well. We're going racing very shortly. Stay with us for the 225. Welcome back. Before we cross over live to Milwaukee, let's hear from the best two Brits at trackside.
At the Milwaukee Mile, your first IRL IndyCar win in dominating fashion. What's the key to success here at this tough oval?
Survival, especially today with it being as hot as it is. The track is really slippery, and yeah, it's going to be a state of survival. Huge wind out there as well, and we'll have to be quick as well, though.
Starting 8th, good luck to you today. Let's check in with his teammate here, Dan Weldon, current points leader, 2005 Indy 500 winner. Danny, it had been a storybook year until Nashville last week when you had the first DNF. How do you bounce back here today?
I think that's just unfortunate. I mean, obviously everybody at Andretti Green Racing works very, very hard, and I think if it happened to any other team, you wouldn't really be talking about it too much. But it's just the expectations are so strong. But this race is going to be very, very difficult. You know, my personal pick for the hardest one to beat today is going to be Dario. He seems very, very strong and always has a good car on these short ovals. But I think the Klein Tools Jim Beam car could surprise a few people. We've made some big changes since the warm-up, which we needed to do. But it's a tough track.
73-point lead, 7 events remain after today. Can you afford to be aggressive here in the second half of the year?
Well, I think with so many people so close, and that's what makes this series probably the best in the world right now, is the fact that, you know, there's a lot of close competitors, and you can't really afford to be too conservative. You've got to be all out.
All right, good luck today.
Thank you.
All out, Dan. 73 points in the lead at the moment. With me, of course, are John Kirkpatrick and Paul Cherry here in the studio. And let's just pick up on a couple of points there. First of all, if I can, John, come to you. Dario says it's slippery and windy at this racetrack. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it has been all weekend, and I suppose that 1.3 seconds covering the grid on a 1 mile, that's a big chunk of time. So it is going to separate the men from the boys. You've got gear changing, you've got a brake. It's to all intents and purposes relatively flat, banking with no consequence at all.
Dan said it's a difficult one, this racetrack. Difficult one as far as he's concerned. Andretti Green always give Dario, his pick for the win, by the way, a good car on short ovals. Now, forgive me for being slightly ignorant here, but you would imagine that a team that runs cars like Dan Weldon, like Dario Franchitti, like Brian Herter, the Andretti Green, they would give them similar cars. Why do you think Dan is picking Dario's favour of this short track?
I think a lot of it does, you know, at the end of the day, take yourself back to your motorcycling days. It's the type of rider, it's the type of driver. Dario seems to be very, very strong on the shorter ovals. For sure the team use the data from each car, but, you know, somebody's setup doesn't always favour another driver. Tony last year, for example, he could work with Brian Herter, but none of the other guys, any of their data was no good. So it's really horses for courses, and Dario does seem to be strong on these shorter ovals. And he's on a roll, John.
I'd like to think so. You know, he won at Pikes Peak last year. He started off here winning, won at Pikes Peak. And as I said earlier, you know, it's got to redress the poor season he's had thus far.
So who's your pick, very quickly, gentlemen?
Well, I think you'd be wise to pick an Andretti Green car, and I certainly would go with Dario.
John?
Yeah, probably, but you know, I think Dan needs to do something. I don't think that's a big enough cushion to sit on, and since Indianapolis he's had a pretty poor season for his.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, we've got plenty to talk about here. Let's get to the track then live and our commentators at trackside.
Only moments now away from the command to start the engines. Well, there's one driver that will be a spectator this afternoon, not competing, Tomas Ingi, who was injured just a week ago.
It certainly was, and he had a very, very hard crash during the race down at Nashville. He backed it in. He cracked 2 vertebrae in his back. They say he's going to be out at least 2 more weeks, so he won't be here this week. He won't be there next week. But actually, very fortunate that he could get up and walk away.
Fortunately, he had that safer barrier that he hit. Right. Buddy Lazier is in the car this weekend, and we understand that Townsend Bell will be in the car next week at Michigan.
Yes, Panther already has another sponsorship sold, and Buddy Lazier was already scheduled to run in Michigan, so they will run 3 cars next weekend. It's rumored Townsend Bell, we're not quite sure exactly.
Well, another crash occurred this morning in the final practice session involving A.J. Foyt IV. And this crew, there was some question whether they get that car back together. Now, again, this was in the final practice session this morning. Yeah, he was very lucky not to hit the wall head on the inside.
That's right. He was pushing the front end. He finally had to kind of jerk that thing. You can see right there, he jerked it to keep it off of the wall. And when he did, the back end came around. And there's grandfather A.J. He was not a happy man as he had to go back and start working on the car.
This crew has done a phenomenal job of putting that car back together. We thought they might go with the backup car, and really we're not sure they had a backup car back in the hauler.
Well, that A.J. Foyt himself is going to say driver start your engine, so he'll be coming up here shortly.
He is the Grand Marshal for this race this weekend, a 10-time winner. There's Super Tex.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. Have a safe race.
And Tony, bring it back with all 4 wheels hanging on it.
Yeah, well, you know, he has mellowed a lot over the years. He was one of the toughest, meanest guys. Not mean, but he was a tough competitor. He loved to win.
Let's say he could get surly.
Yeah, surly. And he just wanted to win every race.
Second time this season, Larry, it's an all Penske front row with Sam Hornish, his 3rd pole of the year, starting alongside his teammate Elio Castroneves. Both have 1 win each so far this season. Hornish loves this racetrack here at Milwaukee. Thomas Scheckter is the 3rd fast in qualifying. The points leader Dan Weldon will start outside of row 2. In the 3rd row on the inside, it's Buddy Lazier making his 3rd start of the season. He'll be in a couple more races this year for the Panther Racing Team, and Danica Patrick starts outside row 3 in the 6th position. Alex Barron, a good qualifying effort for Team Cheever in car 51. The winner here 1 year ago, Dario Franchitti, starts outside row 4 in the 8th position. Tony Kanaan, 2nd now in the point standings, will start inside row 5, outside Roger Yasukawa. As they occupy the 5th or the 6th row, Vito Mira, that's a teammate to Danica Patrick, starts inside row 6. Outside another of the Andretti Green teammates, Brian Herta. In the 7th row, Scott Sharp. Scott starting his 108th career event, and Patrick Carpentier holds the overall track record in a turbocharged car here at Milwaukee. Buddy Rice starts inside row 8 alongside from Indianapolis, Ed Carpenter. In the 9th row on the inside, it's young Jimmy Kite for Himmelgarn Racing in car 91, and Scott Dixon, the the champion 2 years ago, will start outside the 9th row. In the 10th row, A.J. Foyt the 4th, and Katsuki Matsura outside the 10th row. And row 11, Darren Manning did not take a time in qualifying yesterday. We have kind of documented what a terrible season this has been for the Chip Ganassi team.
Yeah, it certainly is. And of course, his teammate is not racing at all. Distance 225 laps, 362 kilometers. Pit window is going to be right around 70 laps. And of course, Sam Hornish is on the pole. It's going to be at least a 3-stop race, probably more with the yellow flags. The temperature is 33 degrees centigrade or Celsius. It's going to be in those on the racetrack, though, with the heat index way above that. 43, 44 degrees is going to be what it feels like here.
Well, and also it's very windy, very gusty today. There was a tornado warning here yesterday. Some very violent storms came through. In fact, one of the other races was held up by 4 hours because they had to dry the track out. And so with a flat track that is very, very greasy, very slick later in the race, along with the wind, it could be a real test for these drivers this afternoon. Well,
that's right. We're going to ride along with, you can see Dixon, Manning, and there is A.J. Foyt the 4th. He is going to have one of the onboards, so hopefully he won't give us another ride like he gave us earlier today. And of course, Danica Patrick, always one of the crowd favorites, is going to have one of the onboards.
Well, as a race fan, as you take a look at Franchitti, who won this race 1 year ago, victorious 1 week ago. They're in the part of the season where we have 3 straight weekends, then a weekend off, the first weekend in August, and 3 straight races again. It's just so fun as a race fan, Larry, to be here at Milwaukee. This track has just so much history.
Yeah, it certainly is. They're going to get the green this time by. A lot of distance between row 1 and row 2.
Well, they start to pick up the throttle, and Johnny Rutherford pulls the pace vehicle off, almost clipped by Hornish, almost clipped the pace vehicle. Now they go 3 wide down the front straightaway under braking. Now they get off the corner. Still 2 and 3 wide.
Looked like Kanaan was the brave one there that went way down on the inside. He and Franchitti kind of won out in that battle.
Now, we're not going to see the kind of racing that we normally see in those bank D-shaped racetracks here today. We're not going to see 2 and 3 wide around the corner.
No, it's all about setup, handling. You know, horsepower has almost nothing to do with this racetrack.
Kanaan just went from 9th to 5th on the very first lap. There is Vito Mira on the high groove.
Yeah, and he's trying to hang on there. That's Carpentier he was with. But it's all about momentum. If you go in real low and pinch the car and have to pinch it coming off, then it's much more difficult to keep your momentum up. This racetrack is a momentum racetrack like every other track. It's just a lot shorter.
It's a handling racetrack too. You have to have that car dialed in.
And you can see as you watch Hornish here, you don't have to go right down on the bottom of the racetrack. Like at Richmond, the fast groove is always right on the inside. Most racetracks, right around that yellow line on the inside is the fastest way. At this particular track, that doesn't happen to be the case. You run up a little ways, so you got a lot of room underneath.
Hornish leads his teammate Castronevic. Weldon third. Schechter is fourth. Kanaan, as we said, went from 9th to 5th on that start. You said he was the brave one. He tested the water up on the high side.
He certainly did. He got down on the, actually he was on the inside, and Franchitti was way on the outside, but there were 3 wide, and I couldn't tell who was in the middle, but he's the guy that gave in and let the other 2 guys go. Right now,
Hornish continues to lead this thing.
And you can tell by that line on the inside. This is the corners, if you follow the line, are not symmetrical. It's not a perfectly perfect circle on those corners. So you can't go down there and follow that white line, and none of these guys are. They're running up on the racetrack a little ways.
Let's look at Kanaan. He's second in the point standings now. We had the best start of all, starting 9th. And here's that start. Now watch the green and white car of Kanaan.
Yeah,
I said he went high. He ducks low, obviously, and that was Alex Barron on the inside, in the middle. Went Franchitti up high, and look at that move.
Yeah, he went clear to the bottom of the racetrack
and
made it work. Here's one. There's Patrick. He went, or Dad and Patrick who went around. 4 cars right there in turn number 1.
Well, Danica has dropped back to 8th position, but again, we talked early on, she's finished 96% of all the laps this season, and as a rookie, that's what she needs to do to get experience on the racetrack. As we watch Tony Kanaan still back there in the 5th position, some 3.8 seconds behind your leader, Sam Hornish.
And quite honestly, that's one of the best starts Danica Patrick has had. She lost 2 spots, but that's we've seen her lose a lot more than that. You can see her shifting gears now as she goes through the corners, trying to get the right combination around this racetrack. They've got a couple of top gears, and evidently she didn't like the one she was in, so she's going to choose another one. Oh, she got a little loose right there. That's part of the slipperiness. When it gets hot, the asphalt actually gets a lot slicker than it would under normal conditions. That solution that the asphalt is made out of just gets hot, and it makes the racetrack a lot slicker, and everybody has to deal with it.
Bubbles the oil in the asphalt.
That's the oil. It's the oil in the asphalt that comes up, and it just makes the racetrack a lot slicker.
She right now is faster than Lazier, who's out in front of her,
and she's catching him. So he's got the Chevrolet power. She's got the Honda. Of course, at this racetrack, power doesn't really mean a lot. It's all
secondary to the handling.
And you can see she's running a much lower line through the corners. He's running out there where Sam Hornish was. She's running a lot lower. Kanaan also running a lot lower groove than some of these other guys. There you can see Schechter right there. He got loose in the back end wiggle.
Schechter back in the yellow car. Now this is a replay a couple laps ago.
This is coming off of 2, and there's a little bump right there, and he just got in that bump. He had to steer that thing about 3 times to save it.
How many times have we seen Schechter do that?
I don't know, but you know, that doesn't look like much. Didn't look like a big wiggle, but boy, believe me.
Got his attention.
When you feel that in the seat of your pants, it's a big, big thrill.
Now that bump has been outside, or actually in turn 2, forever.
It's been there for a long, long time. They've tried to smooth it out, take it out. It just doesn't seem to go away. They've tried everything, and I'm not sure what caused it or why it's there, but it's still there.
Leaders going by AJ. So Foyt, the grandson of the Grand Marshal here this afternoon, is now a lap off the pace in that rebuilt car. So here, that's just kind of a shakedown run for him right now, because they had to rebuild that car to that practice crash, and he wasn't sure what he had. Oh, look at that. Manning going a lap down now already.
Yeah, he's
now
not.
With 12 of the 225 laps now complete. Hornish leads his teammate Castronevic, Weldon, Schechter, and Kanaan, the top 5. She's in 8th position after starting in 6th, and this is just we're talking about this Target Ganassi team. Manning is just all over the racetrack with this car,
and he was loose right there. You could see the back end of that car wiggle on him coming off the corner, and he's not even on the throttle. When we were riding along with him, you could see that he was clear straight on the racetrack before he ever picked up the throttle, and that thing is just very, very evil. As I said earlier, I think you've got to blame this somewhat on the engineers, because the setup that they've chosen for these cars has been awful. It wasn't very good at Richmond. It hasn't been very good at Phoenix. None of the short tracks have been good.
Well, Danica has gotten by Lazier and had a little of a moment herself there. She goes by AJ. So Danica picks up a position up to 7th, goes around Buddy Lazier, but gave herself a bit of a thrill as she got the car loose in making that pass.
Well, and every driver here is going to feel a little bit of that today. There's no question about it. The racetrack is very slick, and if you're pushing it all, if you're trying hard, you're going to get that thing a little bit loose at some point during the day. You can see she's running that higher groove into the corner and then drops down coming off of the corner pretty low coming off of turn number 2.
And if they think the track or the track conditions or race conditions are bad now, they're just going to get worse.
Well, that's right. It's going to get worse as they go along. The rubber gets on there. It's not going to make it better today. It's probably going to make it slicker as the day goes on.
We're riding along there with Danica back in the 7th position. Let's work that steering wheel.
Yeah, and getting through turn 2 there where that bump is, it's all about getting set up so you're straight off of that corner. If you hit that corner when you're high, you hit that bump, that's what causes a lot of the problems over there.
Foyt is in the pit area. We'll see if he actually parks it and comes out, or they're going to make some more adjustments. Once again, he's telling this thing's not handling.
He's telling this thing is really, really loose. Every time I go through the corner, it wants to spin out on me. It doesn't feel right, and they're going to have a look at it.
Well, that's a scary situation for a driver, certainly a young driver like AJ, to take a rebuilt race car to start the race with. He had no idea how that thing was going to handle.
Well, that's right. He had no idea, so they're going to either work on it and fix it, and he's going to get out of the car. It looks like they're going to take a look, see if there's any way they can fix it. Otherwise, this will be done.
Well, Darren Manning is in, and he had an ill-handling race car as well. So, what adjustments they may make for a tire change. I see no adjustments right now.
Yeah, they're just making some changes. They're going to put a lot of front wing in that thing, or take a lot of front wing out, I mean, so that it'll stop that thing from being so loose. It was just so loose, he couldn't even touch the throttle a little earlier.
Well, 25 of the 225 laps now complete, and all have been led by Sam Hornish.
Yeah, he's just...
Well, Scheckter loses 2 positions as both Kanaan and Franchitti got around Scheckter. There's Scheckter back in the yellow car. He's been driving that off and on that Platinum number 4.
Yeah, we've seen that Schecter's pretty loose as well. He's got the back end shaking around on him quite a bit. He had one of those moments where it got real loose. He had to get out of the throttle. Both Weldon and Kanaan and Franchitti both went around him when he did that. And
here's Patrick as she closes in on Scheckter. Nose is down to the inside of turn 3, did not have the momentum or could not get close enough to put the nose under. Well, let's watch what happens coming off on the front straightaway.
This is where she kind of has to go to school. This is what she's got to learn, exactly how to make these passes on these short ovals like this. She's had a little bit of trouble with her timing, trying to time it. Now it looks like she's picking up on it, because right here she gets a good run off. She's going to get to the inside of him and be able to make this pass, maybe.
Well, she got to the inside but didn't make the... Well, yeah, there she
let her go. See, she had the position.
He had to let her go.
So he got out of the throttle and kind of, well, he didn't let her go. He still raced her, but at least he gave her.
What do we say about not racing side by side through the corners here?
Well, Scheckter did a good job right there. Danica Patrick was a little tentative, but again, I think she's doing a good job. She didn't do anything silly there. She had the right idea.
But Larry, I mean, let's praise her, because a brave race driver could have stuck the nose in there and put it against the fence someplace.
There's Scott Sharp. She goes around him, so she's lapping some pretty good race car drivers here early in the going.
The pace. In fact, already we have like some 7 drivers a lap down. 13 drivers on the lead lap. The last driver on the lead lap is Buddy Rice, and you wonder what's wrong with that operation, because his teammates qualifying well. Vito Miro out-qualified Rice.
Yeah, Buddy Rice has had a bad year as well. I'm not sure what the problem is, but right now he probably is the 3rd driver on the team as far as speed and consistency goes. And that's not something he thought was going to happen.
That's what he wants, not what he wanted after winning Indy a year ago. Watch that battle for 6th position. Now remember, Danica started this race in 6th, dropped back to 8th, and right now she's challenging for that 6th spot. Running a lower groove on the racetrack than is Scheckter.
Well, and she's picking up the timing. Let's watch this time if she got in there too bad. You really make your pass when you enter the corner. You enter a little slower and you come off stronger. She tried to enter that time too low and without enough speed, and she wasn't going to get off the corner and make the pass down the next straightaway.
Well, Cornish now will go around AJ. No, that's the number 20 car. That's
Carpenter.
And
here is Kanaan. Also
getting some report. We got some debris on the front wing of Tony Kanaan, and we cannot see it from our vantage point. We'll see if the camera can pick that up. So Kanaan back there in 4th position right now. Your leader Hornish, then Castronevich, Weldon, Kanaan here, and then Franchitti. So the Andretti Green drivers running in 3rd, 4th, and 5th right now.
Yeah, you can see it looks like just a tear up on there. It's nothing consequential.
And finally, she goes on around, so Patrick goes now up to 6th position. Danica, after she went to work lap after lap, found her spot and goes around for the position.
Yep. She timed it very well coming off the corner. And you can see that she's getting off the corner a lot lower. Schechter has evidently picked up a very bad push on that car, and he's going coming through the corners, but he's going very, very high off the corners, and it's making it very difficult for him.
So Danica getting some good experience as you go on board with Schechter as he gets ready to make the move on the inside of Matsura in the number 55. Now Matsura's a lap off the pace. Schechter back in the 7th position. Let's run down the cars on the lead lap. Hornish, Castronevich, Weldon, Kanaan, Franchitti this 5th, then Patrick, Schechter, Herta, Lazier, Carpenter, or Carpentier, then Mira, Barron, and Rice. And they're once again manning back in the pit area. It's going to be a long, long day for this team.
Yeah, he's not happy. He doesn't want to stay out there and crash the car just to be running out there.
They really can't because Michigan's coming up next week. They've got so many crashed cars already.
Yeah, it looks like they're pulling off the engine cover. They might have something wrong with the engine now. So just has been a terrible week.
Darren right now is saying, well, I hope there's an engine problem. I don't want to go back out with this ill handling thing.
Well, yeah, he's really not happy, and you're probably right. I think he'd be just as happy to park the thing and come back another day rather than stay out there and maybe crash the car or get in somebody else's way. But you can see the first 2 guys have really pulled away from the rest of the field. Hornish and Castroneves, the class of this field, Castroneves is very content right now just to follow him.
Well, Weldon is 4.4 seconds back. Tony Kanaan in 4th position is over 14 seconds behind these 2 right here. So Team Penske, the cream of the crop for practice and qualifying, and appear to be the cream of the crop right now for the race so far. Live coverage from West Allis, Wisconsin, the Milwaukee Mile, and once again the first 37 laps paced by Sam Hornish with his teammate right behind him.
Well, it certainly is. That's Jimmy Kite that they're lapping right there. But those 2 guys really have pulled away from the rest of the field. Both of them seem to be running almost identical speeds. They're running around 155 mile an hour, 156 sometimes, but very, very close lap times. And again, Darren Manning in there. They've had the engine cover off. They're just, they've had all kinds of problems. They're going to try to get it restarted. You can see put the starter back in the rear of the car right there.
You heard in that pre-race interview when Castronevich said you don't want to make the boss angry. So he's not challenging. There's Foyt's car out of contention after being rebuilt from the morning practice crash. Castronevich right now apparently just content to ride back there in 2nd position as you ride along with Danica Patrick, who is back in 6th position. That's where she started this race, dropped to 8th, made her way back up to 6th.
And having a pretty good run back there.
Manning leaving the pit area after a lengthy pit stop. Darren Manning being shown some 12 laps off the pace.
And Danica Patrick running right with Franchitti and Kanaan and those guys, just very close to them, actually been catching them over the last 2 or 3 laps. But still,
Weldon in traffic now has closed in a bit, but there's a huge gap between 1st and 4th, and there is that battle for 4th position.
We heard Dan Weldon say before the race started that he thought Franchitti was in the best position. He thought he was handling better than everybody else. Hasn't been able to get around his teammate, but certainly give him a run for his money right now.
Well, it goes a long way in the confidence when you won here last year and you won the last outing a week ago in Nashville.
Right, and I think one of the problems is Kanaan and Franchitti both running almost identical lines. The place he wants to run is exactly where Kanaan's running. And you can see Danica
got in front of him.
Yeah, and Danica Patrick has caught those 2 cars while they've been battling each other. So she's right in the mix right now. They were talking about the debris on his wing. You can see it. Just looks like a piece of paper or
tear off
something like that. So it's not anything that's going to cause any kind of a problem.
Right along with Franchitti there. Franchitti back in the 5th position. Danica is 6th. 7th is Schechter. 8th is Herta. 9th is Lazier. Carpentier is 10th. Mira is 11th. Rice is 12th. Those 12 drivers remain on the lead lap. You see that battle right there for 4th position, Kanaan and Franchitti.
They are coming up on some lap traffic. Scott Dixon in front of them again. So it looks like Kanaan finally said, I think you're faster than I am. I'm just going to get the heck out of your way and let's don't race each other anymore. That's exactly what happened.
He goes around the high side. He made it look easy because Kanaan allowed it to be easy.
Kanaan pulled down to the inside. I'm sure there was some sort of radio communication. And he said, you know, I'm slowing up. You're getting faster. I'll just let you go around and not cause you any more problem.
Well, there is Rice. Yasukawa being lapped. There is Rice, who is the last driver on the lead lap back in 12th position.
He's trying desperately right now to stay in front of Hornish. He does not want to lose that lap. If he loses the lap, then the pit stop things get a lot tougher. Ooh, Hornish right there. He's a brave guy. That's a tough place to go to the outside right there.
That bump.
Yep, that bump out there, and he just poked it out there, and Rice had to give him room on the outside.
And there is Vito Mira. Vito in 11th position. Now only 11 drivers on the lead lap.
Wow, I'm sure there's a lot of these guys would like to see a yellow flag right now, because if they don't see one, these guys could lap up to about 6th place before the first pit stop. Hornish is just really flying out there, and Castroneves too. I mean, those two guys are running, well, actually those two plus Weldon are running about 2 or 3 mile an hour faster than anybody else in the race.
To give you an idea, Franchitti back in 3rd position now is almost 19 seconds behind.
Yeah. And remember, they turned this racetrack in a little over 30 seconds, so it's pretty quick.
There's the battle for 6th. Schechter on the high side, Danica Patrick down low, side by side off the corner.
Schechter's battling back. I said 30 seconds. I meant 20 seconds. They run this racetrack in about 21, 22 seconds. So it's when you're 19 seconds behind, you're in danger of going a lap down.
So Schechter there moves to 6th position. You see Kanaan out in front of Schechter in the green and white big gulp car, the number 11.
Well, Schechter obviously has made some adjustments from the inside of that cockpit, or the car has just gotten better as the fuel has gotten lighter, as all of a sudden he's much faster than he was a little earlier.
I think, Larry, it'd be very difficult to set a car up for this track because the track is going to change so much during the course of this race. The car is going to change because as you burn off the fuel, the car gets lighter. So how do you really say, but look how fast he is now coming off the corner.
Well, he's just really flying.
The car is so much better now than it was at the start.
Yeah, he certainly is. And he's moved up on the racetrack. And for whatever reason, that thing has really been a lot faster running higher on the racetrack than it was down low on the racetrack. Here comes
Schechter. Kanaan comes back to the inside, but Schechter has that position. So Schechter up to 5th. He's picked up 2 positions down about 3 or 4 laps and pulls away.
Yeah, he's very, very quick right now.
So Schechter, one of the fastest drivers on the racetrack, but still the class of the field. The Penske teammates of Hornish and Castroneves run 1-2.
The Indy 225 on the Milwaukee Mile continues with the 2 Penskes out front. Sam Hornish has the advantage over Helio Castroneves. You join us back in the studio here with John Kirkpatrick and Paul Cherry. And I think really, gentlemen, I have to come straight away to the start of this race. Tony Kanaan from 9th place on the grid looked like a man on a mission. I think we can see it. It really was a fantastic start. Talk us through how he managed to. I know we're on a very, very tight track here, but look, he dived to the underside there and absolutely picked up places hand over fist.
Yeah, he timed his starting run absolutely to perfection. He didn't cross any lines or move with anyone, but he got a huge run up. And that clearly just brought him straight up to the front group, which is currently where he's running, but he's struggling a little now.
Well, I think they were all a little tentative at the start, weren't they, trying not to get into the fence. There is no safer barrier here, by the way, as far as this track is concerned at the moment, so that might be a consideration. Reversing into a concrete wall is something that not too many people want to do. Danica Patrick, John, if I can come to you very quickly, had her usual slightly tentative start, but she's building on it now.
Yeah, I mean, I do admire Rahal for what he's done with his girl. I mean, she didn't get carried away with the result at Indy. She's been Yeah, fairly cautious on the starts, but the great thing is that by and large she's always been running at the end. She's doing a good job, and she's looking quite strong today, and using a lot less track in the early laps than Scheckter was.
I can tell you that we are under our first caution period at the moment. It's just come through to us that we are under caution for debris, so you haven't missed anything other than the cars taking their time at the Milwaukee Mile at the moment. Thomas Scheckter. Now, Thomas Scheckter is a man on the move at the moment as well. You can never discount him at all. The Panther car looking particularly good here, Paul.
Yes, he's been running very strongly at the start of the race. He's in the yellow car this particular weekend, so unfortunately I haven't backed him for the win because he seems to only win when he's in his silver car. But he again, as John was alluding to, some of these drivers have taken a little time to get up to speed, but he's certainly there now. He was fighting tooth and nail with Danica, but now he's got past Tony, who's not having the best race from a handling standpoint.
Indeed. So there it is. Thomas Scheckter battling away there with Tony Kanaan. Tony Kanaan looking for a way underneath him, but it is Thomas Scheckter that's out. So then we have pit stops as we see some of the drivers diving down in pit lane. We are under our first caution of the day for debris, and on a track this short where they're circulating in something like 23-24 seconds per lap, obviously the last thing that you actually need. And this track, I've got to say, gentlemen, looks like a rough old place to me. I can't tell you how much it looks from a surface change point of view. There's a case in point just there. The tarmac runs into a completely different colour. Must be a right word. We come off the concrete track at Nashville onto this.
Yes, probably the two are fairly similar in that they're very, very bumpy. As you said at the top of the show, this is one of the oldest tracks. Dario Franchitti once told me it had only been resurfaced once. So hopefully it's a little bit smoother now. But the problem here also is it's flat. There is no banking, really. And it makes it feel very much like a road course. Oh, look at that. And we had contact there coming out. That was one of the Chiva cars and probably Elio.
So as they come through, I tell you what, it's a bit of a bundle to get across the line first, of course. He who has the nose in front will be the man that is given the position out on the track when they rejoin and come back under green. We're looking at Sam Hornish Jr. on our Penske leader. Well, Darren Manning, we saw him having a terrible time, a torrid time in the Target Chip Ganassi car. We can now hear from him.
And then just things got worse and worse after Ryan's crash. We decided to go a little easy on setup and driving, and things just spiraled a bit out of control after that, really. And I lost my confidence a little bit with a couple of moments in qualifying, and the car was just way wicked loose there to stay out, and I was just trying to keep it out of everybody's way. And it's not the way this Target team likes to race, but we don't like to give up. So we'll have to have a bit of a rethink during this week and sit down and see what went wrong this weekend, and come back fighting next weekend in Michigan.
Well, a hell of a rethink, I would suggest. Darren Manning right out of it. Certainly we did, as you can see, the sweeper still out on the track there, cleaning up the debris right up against the fence. You've got to say, Darren Manning, just not happening for him at all. He's such a good lad as well.
They've got a lot of work to do before Michigan, because it is real consequence. Michigan, the sort of pace they'll go at Michigan. But I mean, it just amazes me that a team of the quality of Target Chip Ganassi can get it that wrong. It's hopeless. I think there's an element also that they've kind of lost the leadership of Scott Dixon after his Motegi crash. He's never really been there on the pace anywhere like, and so that the team is lacking a leader out on the track as well.
So Darren Manning out. We heard him slightly disgruntled, slightly disappointed, as I'm sure, and that's probably the bravest face he can put on it at this particular point in the season. Now then, one of the things I did notice a moment ago, Paul, was the amount of wing that we got on these cars. I mean, with obviously a relatively short, flat track, as you've already said, they've obviously got a hell of a lot of downforce.
Well, the speeds are not as quick as we've been used to in some of the bank tracks. You know, we're in the 150s here instead of the 170s to 200s. And the reason they carry such a lot of downforce on this sort of track is to try and keep the thing nailed to the ground to make it safer. Because, as you've pointed out, there's no safer barrier here. It's concrete wall, and there is no banking to keep you back up into the track. So they need as much wing as they can possibly handle, so hence we've got the lower speeds but a lot of downforce.
So maybe this sort of plays. I was just looking through the qualifying list, of course. I mean, you've got Toyotas and Chevys in front of the Hondas. I mean, there's only 2 Hondas in the top 7, which is a slightly unusual scenario.
Yes, it's, as even our American colleagues alluded to, it's not so much a horsepower track. It's a little bit like we had at Nashville, where it's down to how you get your car set up. And certainly here, as John was saying, I mean, poor old Darren, I mean, you know, our heart goes out to him. To bring a perfectly good race car in and not be able to race is terrible for a team. But he's quite right. He needs to be a sensible manoeuvre. Think about what they need to do. Now, just a moment ago, you will have seen pit lane. There was a hell of a lot of shenanigans going on and down in there, and I think we can see that there was actually some contact here as well. The Penske car, I tell you what, doesn't get much closer than that, Paul. No, I called that one out because from where we were looking the opposite side, it looked like Barron had actually touched, but they certainly got away with it on that occasion. But it's a hectic place. Trouble is with Milwaukee, when we ran there with the Champ cars, the pit lane is one of those where it funnels so quickly. Most of these places have a good transition to the track. That one, you've got 90 foot wide and it goes to 20 foot in 3 foot. 360 peripheral vision as far as the Penske guys were concerned there, because he had to watch the car that was just in front of him, and he also had to be, well, he wouldn't have been able to see what was coming up alongside him, would he? Not from that angle.
You know, I mean, when you are in that situation, it's tight anyway. The lollipop man has got to do his best, and it's even more demanding here than it is, say, in Formula One.
It's a leap of faith, isn't it, really?
It is, really. And sometimes you make a judgment call, and it's very easy to misread it.
And sorry, go on, Paul. There's a lot of aggression in this. Don't, you know, bear in mind that if there's a car behind you, you're not going to go, come on, chap, come on through. You're going to poke your nose in.
First to that line.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. There's 2 races here. There's one on the track and there's one out to the track.
We are actually on our first yellow of the day, our first caution of the day at the moment from the Milwaukee Mile. It is debris on the racetrack. We have a huge, great sweeper up on the track at the moment, making sure that they're clearing it. That is Danica Patrick. Danica Patrick is right amongst the racers. You've got to say, the young lady, she looked a little tentative earlier on. Looked like she didn't know which top gear to actually sit in at one point. She was feeding it up and down the gearbox, but she settled down again. I think it's a feature of the youngsters, well, should we say, climb into the top league of IndyCars. She certainly seems just that little bit nervous in the opening laps. It costs her dearly. She slips down the field, then she tends to build back up slowly into the race. She certainly has the talent to do it.
Absolutely, but you know, with the lack of experience, it's no bad thing to be a little cautious, and I'm sure Bobby is telling her all the time, you know, take it easy, don't take too many risks. And it's reflected in her performance. She's still keeping it in one piece.
Well, while she takes it easy out on the racetrack, we're under our first caution of the day. We're going to take it easy for a moment or two here now. We're going to take a very short break. We'll be back in a moment. Sam Hornish leads on the Milwaukee Mile, and this is a green flag for a restart. Yes, you recognise that car in second place. It's Dan Weldon after the pit stop. Britain's Dan Weldon, the championship leader, is through in the second place with Helio Castroneves, the other Penske car, being outdone there on the restart as we come through to the green. Superb stuff. Let's get back to the track live with our commentators.
Let's see now what Weldon has in store after they make the pit stop, put the new tires on. Weldon has anything for Hornish. Hornish has led, well, look at Weldon closing in there. Hornish has led from the start. Weldon had a good pit stop and gained a position.
Yeah, he's running right with Hornish. Lazier hanging on. And Castroneves, after getting a very good start and gaining a spot, has not even been able to get back around Lazier. Of course, Lazier is hoping beyond hope that he can get up there and get around those guys and get back on the lead lap. And he's running with them. He's as fast as they are at this point in the race.
Of course, this is the car that would have been driven by Tomas Ingi. Ingi out with an injury after last week's crash at Nashville. And we will see a 3-car stable for the Panther Racing Team next week at Michigan.
We're not sure.
And Bell will be in this number 2 car.
Nobody's really confirmed that. That's what the rumor, that's what everybody says. Nobody's really confirmed 100% that it'll be Townsend Bell, but that's pretty much everybody's idea.
Of course, he ran with him last season.
Right.
Now, there you see he's led all 72 circuits but he's not able now to pull away from Weldon.
No, and he wasn't able to pull away.
Didn't do that before.
No, he couldn't pull away from Castro.
Weldon had been back about 2 seconds behind the leader for a number of laps before that yellow for debris came out.
Yeah, he's hung right in there. He's the only guy other than the two Penske cars that has been able to hang on to that lead pack, those three guys. And of course the drafting is not a factor here. It's not a drafting racetrack. It's all about the handling. And either you're handling well enough to keep up or you're not. And obviously these first three guys are handling better than everybody else.
Well, and look at Lazier. Lazier hangs onto the rear wing of Weldon.
Yeah, he's got that car. He's working pretty well. He just he got, for some reason, behind there the last section of the right before the pit stops and lost that lap.
Of course, a former winner of the Indianapolis 500 on the IRL Championship run racing. And we're going in a different direction this year with Paul Dana first. He was injured at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in May. Jimmy Kite took over the number 1 car. And so Lazier found himself without a ride. There's Tony Kanaan back there in 5th position. That's Scheckter right behind him.
Scheckter once again using that high line that he seems to really like and seems to work well for the way his race car is set up. Seems he goes in a little higher than, oh!
Another moment.
Boy, right there, you can see.
There's that bump in turn 2.
He has to be on top of things. You got to be really fast on your feet or with your hands when something like that happens. You can see he's getting in the corners extremely well, and then can't quite get off the corner good enough to get around.
He's watching through turn 2 this time again as he goes high, same as last lap, and again.
Right through the middle of the corner is really quick. And once again,
he had to catch it again in that same spot.
Yeah, he hits that bump, and he's ready for it every time. You see, right through the middle of the corner, he's really quick, and he just can't quite get off well enough to pull up beside him.
Let's see if he pulls alongside again going into turn 1. A little lower this time.
Yeah, looks like he's
a whole lot lower.
Oops. And then he pushed the front end really bad. He had to get out of the throttle.
Maybe
so
that's
badly.
why he's running in higher.
Yeah.
Car's not handling down low.
Well, yeah. The place he's so quick is right through the middle of the corner. When he follows Kanaan through down that low, then he has to slow up, and he really loses a lot of ground getting off.
Look how much ground he loses.
Yeah, he lost a lot of ground because by trying to follow him. He can't follow him. He's got to go to that outside to keep his momentum.
Oh, and now he gets down low. Boy, pinches the car just a bit and gets it upset.
Well, he's...
Well, I tell you what, every lap he has a handful over in turn 2.
Certainly doesn't look like he's having much fun, I'll say that.
Well, we're having fun riding along with him, though. Apparently in a joking mode, but I'm not sure how joking was, knowing Chip Ganassi said if you crash one more car, you're fired. Told all the team members, you crash a car, you're fired.
Well,
they've got to be down to almost nothing right now with all the cars they've crashed.
Yeah, they've crashed an awful lot of cars, a lot of races. They got Michigan next week, and you can see Dixon right here. He's got that thing. I mean, he's running down the middle of the racetrack. He's giving everybody plenty of room to go around him because he knows he's just out there for the ride. He's not going to.
He's out right now thinking some attrition might knock some cars out in front of him. He can move up a position or two. Right now, Dixon back in the 14th position, 2 laps off the pace.
And there you see Tony Kanaan taking a look on the inside of Franchitti as they got in some lap traffic right there. Had to get out of the throttle and lost all that momentum, but Kanaan not giving up on his teammate yet.
Well, you were so right earlier when you said as long as you're really within eyesight of the leader.
Yep.
You know, even if you're only a third of a lap back, because we have 2 more pit stops to make. And one would assume with the track record here at Milwaukee, a few more yellows.
Yeah, you're probably going to get some more yellows. Ooh, he got a little loose.
Oh, he got a little loose there.
I think got a little twitchy on him, but yeah, you've just got to. What they're really trying to do is figure out what they need to do to the cars to make them faster. It appears that both Franchitti and Kanaan made their cars faster on that last pit stop. They're still not as fast as Hornish is, as he's still pulling away from them a little bit, but they are much better than they were earlier in the race, and that's all you can do. You got to set your cars up, trying to get some sort of an advantage in the pits, and lead, and then take your chances.
one of the drivers, I'm not sure which one it was now, early in the broadcast before the race began, talked about, I think it was Hornish, getting up on top of the steering wheel today. And I think you're going to find what we saw from the in-car camera from the various drivers. Everybody, if we had an on-board camera with every car out there, you're going to see all those guys and gals slipping and sliding. Every one of them you have to be on top of the race car. I mean, it's a very difficult racetrack to run when you've got 33-degree temperatures and a 43-degree heat index. It's very, very hot, very, very slippery, and so you're going to. And if you want to win, you've got to push it right to the edge. You can't just go out there and motor around. Well, Dixon says, let's see if we can't make a pit stop and make this pig a little better because it's not handling too well. Let's get in. He's been in. He's going to go back out and see if it's any better. Run the middle of the racetrack. You can't let him go by. And you know, if you're that far off, there's no reason not to do that. I mean, you might as well try some things, try to make it handle better, try to make it feel better, because he's so far off the pace right now that he doesn't have a prayer of winning. But you know, when you have 3 teams like that, and every team is off, it's not just one driver. No. They're as bad this season as Andretti's team is good. Right, and it is, you're right. It's not. It can't be the drivers, or they all 3 wouldn't be bad. Because all the drivers, at least one of them. Frustration continues to grow on the part of the drivers because they're getting no production whatsoever. Sam Hornish has led from the starting green as you ride along with Thomas Scheckter back in the 6th position. Let's watch. We stay on this shot as he comes through the 4th corner down the front straightaway. We stay on this shot through turn 1 and into turn 2. We'll see it again if he has that shake. Yeah, he's now he ran a little lower. Got off the shot a little too soon there. Yeah, he ran a little lower. If he runs a little lower off the corner, it's not near as rough. The bump's not near as big, and he can do that as long as he's not trying to go on the outside of somebody. When he's trying to get around somebody on the outside, you got to run a little higher. Frankie and Kanaan right together on the racetrack. That is 4th and 5th, but you have to wonder how hard Kanaan is pressing his teammate. And again, if it's a matter of strategy on this short mile. Yeah, Frankiti's he's running pretty hard. Kanaan, I don't know that he's really trying to get around him. Everybody right now, really, all they're trying to do is figure out how to make their car go faster. They're racing themselves right now. They're trying to figure out exactly what they need to do on the next pit stop to make their car go faster. Well, Franchitti and Kanaan riding in 4th and 5th position. Hornish continues to lead this thing. He has led 99 laps. His 3rd pole position of his season, his 6th pole of his career. Has led every lap from the starting green. Riding along with Dario Franchitti back in the 4th position. He was the winner here 1 year ago, also won 1 week ago. But Sam Hornish has been the class of this field here this weekend. After qualifying for the pole, he has led every lap. There you can see the top 10. Only 8 cars remain on the lead lap. Brian Herta is the last car on the lead lap. And nobody on that lead lap right now in any kind of danger of being lapped. But Sam Hornish just keeps pecking away. They keep pulling back farther and farther by 1 or 2 tenths every lap. And of course, that means that by the end of this section, this segment, if they go 75 laps, well, he's going to be close to lapping the top somebody in the top 10 again, in the top 8. You can see Weldon back to 2nd position. There's 2nd position right there. Weldon right now about 1.5 seconds behind the leader. And again, Lazier is out in front of Castroneves, and Lazier has not gained on Weldon, but Castroneves has not gained on Lazier. Yeah, Lazier would like to see a yellow flag, and he would not pit and hope to get back on the lead lap, or you know, he would get back on the lead lap and then hope to catch another yellow so he could race with these guys. For whatever reason, on that last segment, he got back far enough that he got behind, and it could bite him in the end. Well, Toyota leads this thing, Honda 2nd, and then the Toyota of Castroneves in 3rd, a Honda in 4th and 5th, the best Chevrolet. There you take a look at the heat. These guys are probably feeling it much more than the race drivers right now with those suits and helmets on. Yeah, they're just sitting there, of course, with those are double layer uniforms on. They've got insulated underwear on. They've got the helmets on. Extremely, extremely hot. Those guys sitting out there in that sun,
probably, you know, it's got to feel like it's 45 degrees anyway.
If not more.
If not more, right.
I would think that we would see some misting fans, those misters that they have like at football games.
Well, they may have them on the spectator side, but they're not going to put any down there for the teams. The teams, that would be up to the teams to do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the teams probably would put a few up.
Well, right now, Dan Weldon keeping up with them, but not in any way challenging the speed of Sam Hornish. So Sam Hornish seems to be on a rail around there. Everybody else having all. Oh, look at Lazier. He got mixed up with that traffic down there. Here comes Castroneves on the outside. Couldn't get around him, but
that's Matsura, number 55. But again, Castroneves cannot find a way around Lazier.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So, you know, if we had a yellow in the next 4 or 5 laps and they made the stop and he stayed out, he could be a factor when this whole thing ends.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, you know, sometimes you got to play the game like that. Sometimes you have to try to get off pit sequence, try to do something a little different than everybody else. And I'm sure that's what Panther Racing will do if they can get any kind of a pit stop or a yellow at any time near soon. You know, the only way he can do it, though, if this goes green for another 10 or 15 laps, then he'll have to pit too. He won't have any choice. He got a yellow right now. He might have the choice of staying out there.
Well, approaching now the halfway point in 3 laps, 3.5 laps, we'll get to the halfway point. Race control is watching Lazier right now, just in case he may be trying to block to keep Castroneves behind him, because he is a lap off the pace.
Yeah.
And they may have said something to him, because after laps and laps and laps, Castroneves goes on by.
Well, you know, there's no advantage for him to block Castroneves. You know, Castroneves is not the guy that he has to keep behind him. He's already behind the 2 leaders, so he's already a lap down. So there's no real advantage to him blocking Castroneves. So not sure.
You saw Schechter and Patrick right together on the racetrack, and there is Herta. Now Herta's back in 8th position. That is the last driver on the lead lap, and here comes your leader, Sam Hornish. Now, on the scoring monitor, we are showing Herta about 15 seconds behind the leader. And of course, they can lap this track in race conditions at around 22 seconds.
Yeah, so Hornish, you know, Herta wants to see a yellow, or wants to see pit stops here within the next 10 or 12 laps, because he doesn't want Hornish to get up there and get around him. Once he gets around him, then that's not a good thing. So watch Castroneves right here, as he's now making some headway. Once he got around Lazier, seems like he picked up a little speed, so Lazier might have been holding him back just a little bit.
Herta now almost 17 seconds behind the leader. Oh, look at this.
Ooh.
As we're watching the back of the pack up in front, we have a new leader.
Dan Weldon, all of a sudden, whatever happened to Hornish happened in a hurry, because he'd been leading Weldon by 15 car lengths, yeah, the whole time. And then all of a sudden, Dan Weldon, whatever. It looks like Hornish had some trouble.
Hornish apparently got very loose in turn 2. I think we'll have a replay, and this is why the pass occurred. Now watch, this is turn 2 over that bump. Yep.
You can see right there, he had to get out of the throttle, hit that little bump, got out of the throttle, and that's what allowed Weldon to get by him. So, you know, Weldon's car handling a little better, Hornish's car handling a little worse as we go farther through this segment.
Well, Weldon had a phenomenal start to this season, winning 4 of the first 5 races. Of course, he had that big DNF last week, as we saw 3 of the 4 Andretti Green team drivers in the pit area. When Franchitti won, they were standing and cheering on their teammate because they were all out.
And now that Dan Weldon's out in the lead, Hornish doesn't seem to be able to do anything to catch him.
Right along, as you see Danica still shifting gears, going by the Jimmy Kite number 91. All 3 of the top 5 are Andretti Green drivers, with your leader, the second leader of the afternoon. We've had only 1 lead change, Dan Weldon, after Hornish Hornish led the first 113 circuits, so he led the first half of the race.
Yeah.
There's Danica.
She's gotten around
Schechter, so she's up to 6th position.
Well, she sure has. As Schechter again started to fall back. Remember the last time he fell back a little bit, and then all of a sudden he started gaining near the end of the segment. So we'll see if they made some adjustments, so maybe he ran faster earlier, and now then he's going to slow up at the end of the segment again.
You know, also talking of Danica and Ray Hall Letterman, we talked about their short track program not being as strong as the big track program, but she's showing herself very well here this afternoon.
Yeah, she's having a great run, and
much better than her teammates.
Right. Schechter gained a lot on her right there. She got very cautious as she was
got held up going by Matsura.
Yeah, she got very cautious there.
Once again, 119 laps now complete. Weldon is your leader, and look at this. Castroneves to the inside of his teammate.
Yeah, Sam Hornish has suddenly just lost the handle.
Has gone away on that race car.
Absolutely lost the handle. Gotten so loose he can't drive it, and it's costing him big time.
Where other drivers were hoping for a yellow, I think maybe Hornish now is looking for that yellow to make that pit stop and make some adjustments to an ill-handling race car. You take a look at the battle for second position. Hornish in an ill-handling car lost the lead. He bobbled coming through 2, lost the lead to Weldon a few laps ago, and now he's contending with his teammate.
Yeah, Elio Castroneves, both of them have fallen 3 seconds behind Weldon. So, you know, it's not that Weldon's running any faster. I think the whole thing is that Hornish has slowed up a lot. And because of that, he's allowed Castroneves to catch him. Castroneves, now that he's caught him, can't get around him. But they're both losing ground now to Dan Weldon very rapidly.
We're still, Larry, about 20 laps away from that second round of pit stops. And right now, only 8 drivers on the lead lap. Foyt is still in 8th position, but he is in jeopardy of getting lapped. And look at Hornish. And he has Castroneves looking to the inside, and he's going to make the pass for position.
Yeah, and that looked like that was a gimme. He moved over and let Castroneves go. Once Castroneves made that move to the inside, he just said, you know, we'll wait till after the pit stop, and then we'll worry about it.
Only Hornish knows how bad that car is handling right now.
Yeah, and obviously it's handling very badly because we've seen him all day long be the fastest guy on the racetrack, and he's not even close right now.
There's your leader by 2.8 seconds over Castroneves, but Castroneves now starts to close it down just a bit as your leader is in heavy traffic.
Well, he is in some heavy traffic. He's already gotten around a couple of guys, but he's got a couple more to go around, and made that look easy though as he went around the outside. Boy, he appears to have things pretty much on a string at this point as he's running lap times faster than anybody else on the racetrack right now.
Well, Dixon's going to go 5 laps off the pace. How frustrating for the former champion.
Yeah,
we've talked about this. We're not belaboring the point, but how does a team go from winning a championship and being so competitive, leading the most laps, and then when the season begins anew, they've been out to lunch?
Well, I
think 2 years.
I think when Honda got all the horsepower last year and Toyota didn't get the handle on it, really was demoralizing for these guys, and they really, horsepower-wise, Toyotas have not been competitive the last couple of years. Chevrolet was not competitive last year, but they came back. At least they came. Oh, we got a crash.
Danica has brought out the yellow. Danica has brought out the second yellow of the afternoon.
Well, that's a tough break. She's
running in the 6th position. Did not see what happened, but she brings out the yellow in lap 127. So the second round of pit stops again will be under yellow. You can see she's taken the steering wheel off. The wheel is off, and she slaps her hands. The safety crew there to make sure she is okay.
Yeah, she's trying to get that neck brace off of there so she can get out of the car. Not very happy with herself right now, but she's hot. Yeah.
Get that helmet off, and
she's hot. Everybody's hot. I mean, it's extremely hard on these drivers here today, as hot as it is out there.
Take a replay at what happened. Let's take a look.
And she's walking over to the safety vehicle. Dr. Bach pulling up in the
Command 1
vehicle. So So
she climbs back in the truck without taking her helmet off. Let's take a look again at what happened.
Okay, she's just wiggled.
Oh, and she almost got Schechter. That was a good job of driving for Schechter.
Just got the thing loose.
Just riding along with her here.
Right in the middle of the corner here. And it just shook loose and took off. Tough break for Danica. She was running a pretty good race. She looked to be very, very stable, but once that thing broke loose on her, she just didn't save it. As we've seen a couple of these other guys do. The back end just came around on her. Look at Schechter. Schechter, look at that. He's clear sideways and saved that thing. He turned that thing down and was clear sideways, dirt tracking it. Man.
Here's Franchitti. Look at that.
Wow. That's how slick it is out there today. I mean, that is loose, and that is slick, and that
and
is
I said
tough.
we could put a camera on every car.
Yeah.
There's her fiance, making sure that she's okay.
Yeah. Now that he's seen the replays, seen her get out of the vehicle, he'll probably head down to.
We will hear from Bobby Rahal, the team owner.
Since the first race, actually, she finished the last 8 races in a row, and Bobby Rahal is here. Bobby, I know you just watched the replay. What did you see?
Well, I just got away from her. I mean, I noticed Dario. You know, everybody's been slipping and sliding, and Dario almost lost it just before she did, and just got away from her. And too bad. She was doing a good job.
Well, pits are open now. We're being told. I have to ask you. It seems like you guys have been pretty conservative on this setup with Danica. We're going to go back down to Vince Welch. Vince.
Well, we'll hear from Vince as we. The pits are open. Second round of pit stops, Larry, under yellow.
And, you know, if they get in and out, Dan Weldon should be able to maintain this lead. See everybody doing their job very efficiently here. The tire guys on and off.
Oh, problem there with the fuel.
Boy, you can see that was that could have been an absolute disaster. I think he still got out in first place even with that. And somebody stalled back there.
That's Lazier.
That's Lazier. Is the left front on that thing cocked? No, yeah, he hit somebody.
Yeah, he's hit somebody. He's out of the race.
He hit somebody. The left front you can see was cocked on that thing. It looked like as he pulled out there was some.
We talk about how narrow this pit lane is when they exit altogether. So you talk about being a race won or lost. Look at this. He was trying to get back on the lead lap. Now he's going to be a spectator.
Everybody trying to get in and out as quickly as they could. And when all the confusion back there, he just made some contact. And Weldon did remain in the lead. It's a good thing. I mean, that's what happens. That's how you have those problems in the pits. Because as soon as you jerk on that fuel rig, they tell you to go. Well, you can see right there, it got stuck. And everybody was trying to get out of the way so they didn't get run over. Weldon luckily had the presence of mind to stop.
Well, take a look again, Larry, hopefully on what happened to. He's at the top of your screen on the outside. He just got pinched to the outside into the guardrail.
Absolutely nothing he could do about that.
Now, is that the 20 car of Ed Carpenter? That's the Ed Carpenter car.
Yeah, absolutely nothing Buddy Lazier can do about that. He's coming out of there minding his own business.
Watch again. Where's Buddy?
Yeah, right there.
He just got tagged to the outside.
Yeah. Carpenter
pushed him to the outside, that outside guardrail there.
Yeah.
And you can tell he is not pleased.
Well, he is not happy, and I don't blame him.
There is not a more fierce competitor, though, than Buddy Lazier.
Well, and he's way better race car driver than a lot of people give him credit for. You know, and he's very, very competitive. He wants to win. And, you know, really easy for a lot of guys to give up, but he doesn't give up. He keeps trying. He keeps coming back.
Of course, his win at Indy in 1996, one of the gutsiest drives I've ever seen with that broken back he sustained at Phoenix. So he's an excellent race driver, and I hope that he can get some sponsorship money put together to run the rest of the season. Hazy, lazy afternoon here in Milwaukee.
It's a dramatic Indy 225 from Milwaukee, but it's a Brit that leads. Dan Weldon just about managing to keep out of trouble, and he's had to work hard. With me here in the studio, John Kirkpatrick and Paul Cherry. And I think, gentlemen, the first thing we need to look at is Sam Hornish, who was actually the leader at one point. Dan Weldon was hunting him down, but Hornish seemed to find himself with all sorts of trouble, this being his first little bobble. He was leading at this point, then the car just there, you just saw it jink a little bit, and of course that gave an opportunity for Dan Weldon to roll on by, and the Brit didn't need a second invitation, did he?
No, he'd obviously got a good run. That particular turn, as we've seen with Danica's accident and Thomas Scheckter and also Buddy Rice, is starting to become a very, very tricky part of this track.
Well, a lot more to come from the Dan Weldon juggernaut in just a moment or two, but I think we need to talk about the young lady, as we should. Really, Danica Patrick found herself in a little bit of trouble. She looked out just a little bit wider, I think, on the track before she went out, you know this, John.
I think what's interesting is both Penske cars have been running outside that inner black groove, and for the first time Danica looked to be doing the same and just got out of shape.
I don't know whether you noticed it, but just in front of her is Dario Franchitti, and Dario Franchitti actually went sideways just a split second before she did. And this bit, as far as I'm concerned, save of the day. Look at that, Thomas Scheckter again. That's pretty stick. Look at that, the steering wheel wasn't even in the direction the car was facing, was it?
Well, sideways, leaving a big black mark in the road.
Him and Kimi Räikkönen, I think, today get saves of the day jointly, don't they?
We've definitely seen both Thomas and Sam. They're the only guys who can gather these things up. Everyone else just goes into the wall.
Okay, well, they say you make your own luck in motorsport, of course. Dan Weldon pitted when the yellow flag came out for this caution, but then it all got a little bit messy here. The man jerked on the hose, he didn't come out. Dan Weldon's reaction was absolutely second to none. I have to say, for him to have actually sensed that hose wasn't out at that point, so I wonder he didn't drag the rig and the men down the road.
I think there was probably a contribution from the front wheel man,
You're probably right, yeah.
to be fair, but it was
And also
nonetheless a pretty swift reaction, and you know, it could have been a problem.
I think the thing there, and it shows you the quality of the teamwork there. Okay, the thing didn't come out, but there was significant safety measures in place. The car was stopped, rolled back, it was out, and he managed to pull himself out and keep the lead.
Well, I'll tell you what, there was a whole load of things going on down in pit lane. I mean, you've got to feel a little bit sorry for one or two of the drivers. We spoke about it earlier on, just how narrow it is. You can see Dan Weldon still just managing to get out, leading the race, and still managing to get out and lead the race. The others are lapped drivers, but then it all happened in the back, and really wedged into the wall. He was taken up there, I can't remember by who, but you got to say, Buddy Lazier, was it Carpenter who took him up there? Here we go, right now he's taken up the hill by Carpenter moving across to the outside, and Buddy Lazier with that left wheel on his wagon pointing completely in the wrong direction.
Because he'd been doing quite a good job.
Yeah, without question. Ed Carpenter, this year he's been no good whatsoever, poor lad. I mean, there's no point in beating around the bush. He's been a waste of time. I thought he showed some pretty good driving last year with Chiva, which was probably a difficult team to start with. Over the winter, his stepfather, Tony George, started his own team, and I think, you know, being the team leader in a team with no team leader is a very hard job at this level.
Well, at this level we can hear the revs building. I don't know whether I think we are about to come round to a green flag, and only 24-second lap, so as we come for the restart, let's cross back to our commentators live.
He's being blocked somewhat.
Yeah, he tried the inside, or outside, and then the inside. I think Buddy Rice was trying to get out of the way and move down the end of the way, it looked like, and there comes Hornish. So the first three cars all right together on the racetrack.
Weldon, Castroneves, and Hornish.
It'll be interesting to see now if Hornish can keep up with these guys, or if he's faster than they are. He has been all day long. So we'll go down and talk.
We'll hear momentarily from Danica. We'll find out if the car jumped sideways because of track conditions.
She's okay, but she is very disappointed and frustrated right now. Danica, we watched replay after replay. From your perspective, what happened? It looked like something may have been on the track in front of you.
It was just such a sudden snap that, I mean, the groove had definitely widened out through the race, and I was just pretty much where I had been the whole time, not going any faster, and it just snapped. So it very well could have been my fault, but I heard that Dario had some action in his steering wheel in the same lap, so I don't know, maybe it wasn't my fault, but I'll take the blame.
Right before your incident happened, I was talking to your crew about your car seems to be set up more neutral than we've seen. They're letting you get away with a little bit more. Was that the case?
you know, that's kind of what we were going for here. It seemed like, you know, with understeer, if the front end couldn't get around the corner, you just couldn't get around the corner. So we did aim towards a more neutral oversteer car, and maybe it bit us in the end.
Unfortunate for Danica Patrick. She was running 6th on the lead lap. Had a great car, guys. We hate to see her out for her 2nd time this year.
What was that remark about a lot of action in the steering wheel? Is that new terminology? A lot of action on the steering wheel.
Well, we've seen a lot of that from
everybody.
And Schechter, yeah. A lot of the in-car cameras, we've seen that action on the steering wheel.
Montier about to go, well, he's already a lap off the pace, and that is Franchitti going by.
Yeah, Franchitti having a good run. Not as good as he's been. A good short track specialist this year for this Andretti Green Touring. Boy, he's been very, very tough on all the short tracks. Had a chance to win on a couple of them. Not quite as tough here today.
The challenge late at Phoenix. He was going for the win at Phoenix when he crashed.
Yeah, he had a very good chance to win that race, and you know, he was either going to win or crash. He unfortunately came out on the crash end of that one, but he did everything he could to win the race, and that's all you can ask of a driver.
And I think, as you've said before several times on these shows, he's surprising in that his background was road racing, and we didn't really expect Franchitti to be so aggressive on the short tracks.
Yeah, he's been way more aggressive in the last 2 years than I ever expected him to be on these ovals, and he's quite honestly, he's been tough. I mean, he's the kind of a guy that most short track, dirt track racers in America would be very proud of. He's been so aggressive. He's the kind of guy you would have thought would have come from that kind of background instead of the road race.
We will see one more pit stop this afternoon, and right now a 7/10 of a second lead by this man right here, Dan Weldon, who won 4 of the first 5 races this season. Had a DNF last week in Nashville.
Yeah,
still led the point standings coming in to this event by some 73 markers.
Schechter coming up on Herta, going to challenge for that 6th position as he's been up and down. He's been 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, up and down. And it seems like his car changes more than most during a run. Of course, we saw Sam Hornish's car change drastically there near the end of that last run. But Schechter's been another one that seems like he'll be fast for a while, and then he'll slow way up for a while.
Right on the heels of Herta.
He's running
that second corner.
Yeah, he gets through number 2 about as well as anybody. He does it in a very uncomfortable place. He runs up high, but oh boy, he got way high right there. That was not comfortable either, believe me, because he got in low and pushed way high up there.
Well, we have seen almost race after race on the onboard that he has a certain feeling, and that's exactly what it takes, that reflex, that reaction to every movement, because you feel the back of the car really with your rear end. You feel the front of the car with your steering wheel, and he reacts so quick. And he has saved the car several times where I think maybe some other drivers may have lost it.
It'd be interesting to talk to him after the race to see how many close moments he thinks he had during this race. Because
and then maybe, it'd be fun to watch this shot with him after the race and say, now, how did this feel to you? Because it was a big moment for us calling the race. So Schechter rides back there in 7th position on lap 154. Dan Weldon, Castroneves, Hornish, Franchitti, and Kanaan. So right now, Team Green with 3 of the top 5, and they have 4 of the top 6. We saw that 1, 2, 3, 4 finish at St. Petersburg. Can we see a repeat here on the short track at Milwaukee this afternoon?
Doesn't get much better than that, does it? As Schechter right now just all over Brian Herta. Now he's going to go to the inside, try to make the pass.
Oh, and Herta let him go.
Wow, Herta
had to get out of the throttle.
Herta finally let him go, but you would not have thought. He's been running that high line so well. I wouldn't have thought he would have handled that well down on the bottom, but he made the pass work.
And Herta had a thought about staying with him side by side off the corner and then backed out and let him go.
Yeah, I think Herta decided the right decision right there, because Schechter had the line on him. He was not going to give it a
that would be smarts over bravery.
That's right. Wasn't going to give it back to him at that point. So
on the backstretch here at the Milwaukee Mile, Weldon now leads by 0.4 of a second over Castronevitz. He has an almost 2-second lead over Harnish, who's in third. Franchitti is almost 6 seconds back in fourth. Kanaan is 7.5 seconds back in fifth. Schechter is 9.6 back in sixth. In seventh is Herta, and he is 10.5 seconds behind the leader. So 10 seconds separating the first 7 drivers on this racetrack, and we have one more pit stop to go. Notice on this track we do not have the safer barrier. One of the few racetracks now not employing that safer barrier, crash wall.
I think it's the only one that the IRL runs on that does not have the safer barrier. So you know, when you hit the wall here, it
hurts.
It's pretty hard. That's right. And there's the distance.
Castronevitz starting to close, or Hornish closing in on Castronevitz.
Yeah, he is.
And all three are going to be the same shot. Live coverage continues as the leaders start to close in on Dan Weldon. Sam Hornish and Castronevitz.
Yeah, it looks like they are gaining on him, and that's not necessarily mean he's running any slower. It looks like he's running about the same speed, but for whatever reason, they've just started picking off a few tenths of a second every lap and gaining on him ever so slowly.
Well, we don't know what the chassis is doing, what the car is doing for Weldon as well. If the car starts to go away at a certain point, because they're still about 40 or 50 laps from their last pit stop.
Well, and of course, when the load goes out of these cars, it does make a big difference in the handling. We're taking a look at Carpentier there. Here comes Kanaan.
Carpentier now is back in 8th position. He is the first driver off the lead lap. He is in 8th. Had a chance, we thought, to win that race a week ago in Nashville. The French-Canadian actually holds the overall ultimate track record here. They're set in a turbocharged car, and there's a look at Buddy Rice, who's not having a very good afternoon. He's not having much fun.
He's 2 laps off the pace, although he seems to be running pretty quick right now, but he got so far behind early in the day that it's just made a long afternoon for him. And it is hot out there. Schechter right now, you can see gaining on him, trying to get around so he can get up and challenge Tony Kanaan.
Schechter, the only driver to win from the pole position this season. There's at Texas. There's Brian Herta, currently in 7th position, looking for a win. It'd do his career and his psyche a whole lot of good for a win, because all of his teammates have been winning, but so far he's not picked one up in a couple seasons.
Yeah, Andretti Green says that they plan on having the same drivers back next year that they have this year, but the only one who is signed is Tony Kanaan. There's Vito Mira, currently running in 9th. The only one that's signed is Tony Kanaan. Weldon is trying to get a 2-year contract and more money, which Andretti Green, they're not going to sign a 2-year contract because they're waiting to see if Honda will be back. Honda's committed to run next year, have not committed to run beyond that, so they're not going to sign any 2-year contracts till they get something more solid from Honda and some of their other sponsors.
Realistically, that's where the money's coming from.
That's right. That's what I mean. They're until they get some, real something solved with their sponsors and the people who are providing the money, like Honda. They're not going to. We did hear also that they're thinking about testing a Chevrolet near the end of this season too. I find that very hard to believe, but that has been a rumor.
Let's take a look through the field right now at some of the drivers that are well off the pace by 2 or 3 or 4 laps. There's Matsura, the number 55 car. There's a number 20 Vision car of Ed Carpenter. Now, Ed Carpenter is in 14th position. He is 4 laps off the pace.
Yeah, those guys are all having a race of their own back there 4 laps down.
Here back to the front of the pack, Weldon, and there's the gap back to 2nd. There's Castronevitz in 2nd. Hornish is 3rd. It's about a half second between first 2. Now, is Hornish, or Castronevitz, just willing to stay right where he is and keep that gap between 1st and 2nd as your leader goes by the Vision car of Carpenter?
This last pit stop is going to be so important. I think if he can pass him, he will, because the guy who gets into the pits first has the best chance of coming out first. So I think it's going to be, I think he's going to try to get up there and get around him so that he has.
Oh, and there is Buddy Rice. The third yellow of the day, and we're going to see the pit stops coming right now. The last round of pit stops under yellow.
Yeah, looks like there will be. And you can see Buddy Rice already has the steering wheel off. You can see those cars are a little bit difficult to get out of, and he's trying to get out of it right away.
The car's a little hotter than what he would like anyway.
Yeah, he's limping a little bit. It's on fire, and he could feel that heat. That's the reason he was trying to get out of that thing.
It's amazing how quickly they can get out when the car's on fire.
Yeah,
he's safely away from the race car now, where he can sit down on the pavement.
You can see he's feeling his foot, so it must be his foot that was damaged. And sometimes your feet bang around and get hit the pedals in there. That could be what he's done, bruised his foot when he banged the pedals when he hit the wall.
Yeah, because that's about the only part of the body that can really move around inside that cockpit.
Yeah, you're in there pretty close. Those seats are self-fitted to each driver. They kind of sit you in a bag and form the seat around you as you sit there.
Around your rump.
Right. It hardens while you're sitting in it. So they're fit exactly to your body. That's the reason you don't see a driver getting out of one car and into another, because they don't fit in the seats. And
you can see how little the head can move right there with the padding around the helmet.
And there was a lot of head injuries a few years ago, so they put those up there. Your head does not move around. They wear the Hans device so it doesn't go forward. They put those braces around their neck so that they don't move side to side. You can see there. This is a little bit earlier, and that's the crash with the Lazier when he got squeezed into the wall there by Carpenter. So we're taking a look at that. That was during the last round of pit stops. This is something that these guys don't want to happen this time, especially the guys up front. They want to make sure that's the advantage of being close to the front, so you don't get squeezed out into the wall coming down pit lane.
Only 55 laps to go, so they can make their pit stop, final pit stop under yellow. We've seen the other two under yellow as well. First, we had debris on the racetrack, and they took a long time to sweep the track as they all head for pit lane. And then we had the Danica Patrick crash at lap 127 that brought out the yellow, and that was the second round of stops. Well, so this will be the final pit stop, should be the final pit stop this afternoon.
And this could be the most important pit stop of the day, because the guy who gets out best. We'll see if anybody's short fuels.
Well, Franchitti and Kanaan stay out.
Wow.
Problem with Herta coming in. Herta got it sideways in the pit lane.
Harnish got tires and fuel, so wow.
So they all came in and went back out in the same positions of those that made the pit stops.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see if we can get another look at exactly what happened to Buddy Rice as he came around that corner and hit the fence. Replay.
Here it is again. Let's see if we can catch it.
He's already started to spin right there. Does a half spin and slaps it in. That's where he hurt his foot, when that left front hit there and jogged his foot around in there. You can see the fire. He was feeling that fire as he was sliding down the wall. That's the reason he was so anxious to get out of that thing. We couldn't see the fire when we were sitting there watching the first time, but the left side of the car was on fire, and he could feel that. He wanted to get the heck out of the race car.
See, we've seen from the onboards, Larry, at a crash, the drivers take their hands off the steering wheel to get away from the spokes of the wheel. They really can't do anything with their feet.
No, but if you left your hands on the steering wheel, normally you would break a finger or a thumb because it'll be wrapped around that wheel, and that wheel will jerk. So, yeah, they've all learned that over the years, and it's a smart move on their part.
Well, Franchitti stays out, so he assumes the lead, the third leader of the afternoon. We've had Hornish, Weldon, and Franchitti.
I don't really understand that unless they think they might be able to go to the end, and I don't see how they can do that. So
they've gone 42 laps. I don't see either how they can go.
Well, right there is where he hit left front and then left rear. So
Ray Hall Letterman with 2 crash cars this afternoon with a week to go to Michigan. So under the third yellow of the afternoon, Franchitti leads his 2 teammates, Kanaan and Weldon.
Well, the track may be short, the Milwaukee Mile, but certainly it's not short on drama. We're just about seeing everything we possibly can here. Still with me here in the studio, John Kirkpatrick and Paul Cherry. And I have to credit Paul Cherry with a brilliant spot. The commentators haven't actually noticed it yet in America, but that last accident that we just saw, see if you can see what happens here and why this car is about to go into the wall. The rear wing is already off. The rear wing is off as he's come into the corner. You can see it's folded up behind the back of the car to the left of your picture. And if we just roll it on a little bit further, there it is, it's facing downwards. If all else fails, read the numbers because they're on sideways. So we've got to say that was extremely bad luck there as far as Buddy Rice was concerned. And it's been a very expensive day as far as Bobby Rahal's concerned today.
Yes, Chip Ganassi is normally the best G-Force customer of the week, and certainly Bobby's scooped up the award for this week. But that must have been a very frightening accident, in all seriousness, for Buddy to come into turn one there and have lost all his rear downforce. That's obviously why the car swapped ends.
I'm sure they'll realise exactly what's going on at trackside, and we will get a bit of a report there from Buddy Rice. Buddy Rice in a little while. We're going to go back to live pictures in just a moment too, and I should point out to you that Franchitti and Kanaan, Dario Franchitti and Tony Kanaan there in your picture, have not actually pitted. They haven't come in, so that puts Dan Weldon back in third place, Castroneves fourth, and Sam Hornish in fifth place. Let's go back to the track then, live with our commentators.
Top 7 on the lead lap.
In order to make it to the end, they've got to average about 2.7 miles per gallon. That's a lot.
Well, I would think they'll need another, what, 10 laps of yellow, maybe?
Yeah, they might. We'll find out as it goes. We're going to see right now if Hornish can get around Castroneves. If he can, then the new tires helped him. If not, then maybe it wasn't such a good idea.
Well, of course, they had the luxury of having those computers down there in the pit lane and all the calculations they need. We can only be here in the booth and kind of guess.
Yeah, and you can see right there, Weldon and Hornish, Castroneves, they're right there with those guys. Franchitti's leading the race, but he's going to have to dial the fuel back at some point. He can keep going right now. We'll see what's going on.
Well, race control now is saying that Franchitti may be getting loose.
Well, and
I'm not sure how they could denote any one specific driver. They've all gotten loose this afternoon.
Now, everybody has been loose at one time or another today. The racetrack, the heat, it's just so intense. The heat is so intense here today. The racetrack is slick, and there's no way of getting around it. Everybody's going to be a little bit loose. Franchitti has not slowed up a whole lot. He's still not running as fast as Castroneves, Hornish, and Weldon, though.
So once again, at lap 182, Franchitti leads Kanaan and Weldon, Castroneves, Hornish, Scheckter, and Herta. We know that everybody but Franchitti and Kanaan can go the distance.
And Weldon, he's won before on fuel mileage. He's won in the same situation that Franchitti's in right now, just by hanging on and not making a final pit stop and making it to the end. So this time he decided to come in, and his teammates decided to stay out and take that gamble.
Franchitti, of course, won this race a year ago. He was victorious 1 week ago at Nashville.
And those first 5 guys.
From his wife, Ashley Judd, who was not present last week.
27 cars, Ashley, and a little nervous, but what goes through your mind and what kind of nerves do you have during this late stage of the race?
I have so much admiration for my husband that I don't actually get nervous. My wish is that he fulfill his promise, which is significant. I have extraordinary respect for his talent, which is abundant, and I just hope he can do what God helped give him the talent to do, which is win races. And there's nobody on the track who's better at being quick and saving fuel. I met Dario when he was 29 years old, and it's one of the first things I learned about him. So we'll see if we make it to the end or need to stop again. Dario and I would like to extend the most phenomenal, heartfelt congratulations to Lance. Really awesome accomplishment today.
Thank you, Ashley. And what an exciting conversation that must have been on the first date when they were talking about saving fuel mileage. Huh?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He just beat me to it. That had to be a real exciting date.
Well, the first thing I learned, he can save fuel. Oh, wow.
She refers to Lance Armstrong, who just wrapped up his 7th straight Tour de France. How about those accomplishments?
Yeah.
After battling cancer before he won his...
Well,
a Penske car in the fence. Castro Neves.
It was Hornish giving him a lot of heat, trying to get around him. Just got in the corner a little bit too hard.
May have just won the race.
Yeah.
For Franchitti.
It's probably
maybe the yellow he needed to stretch out the fuel.
I think you're right. I think that not only hurt Penske, both Penske cars, because you know, it's going to give them about 10 or 15 more yellow flag laps, and that's probably going to be enough for them to get to the end of the race now. Tough break for Castro Neves, though, as Hornish was just all over his back bumper.
Hornish didn't need the new tires to get by that way, did he?
No. Tough break. And Roger probably
doesn't look like he's going to win his 6th race here this afternoon, does it?
No, and he's probably been happier than he is right now, too, because that, you know, he had a chance to finish 2 cars in the top 5, and now that's not going to happen.
Let's take a look again.
Well, Sam just gets down.
Oh!
Boy.
Now, what did Castro Neves say before the show about let's not get the boss mad?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the boss is going to be a little unhappy.
Oh, man. I think Castro Neves is going to be a little unhappy, and I don't think I blame him a whole lot.
I don't think those 3 guys will be having dinner this evening.
No, that was Sam got a little over anxious. Of course, when we picked it up the first time, Sam was just right behind him and underneath him, but actually made contact. Couldn't keep the car down as he tried to go by him on the bottom side. And he probably messed up the steering. The steering on these cars, or the uprights, are not or they're pretty fragile. He took a pretty good bump, so I would not be surprised if the handling on his car is probably messed up as well.
Now my question is, we're going to hear from Buddy Rice here momentarily. No one's laid out their pit gear. Let's hear from Buddy.
Buddy Rice hit the wall one more time, jumping out as quickly as he could as it was on fire. Buddy's 2nd DNF in a row. What's going on with you in the car?
I don't know, same string of bad luck right now. Looks like something failed in the left rear or something. I haven't seen the video, but that's what it felt like. So we'll just have to regroup and go to Michigan. We'll see what happens. Won there last year, but we'll just go back and go for it.
I know you guys have been struggling with understeer a lot here. Was that any indication there what happened?
No, I mean, it did it halfway down the back chute, so it was nothing like that. Just a breakage somewhere, a failure.
Very frustrating for the 2004 Indianapolis 500 winner, guys. He had 3 wins, 5 poles last year. This year, the best he's done is a 3rd place finish.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the conversation would be in the Penske pit area following this race.
Yeah, they're boy, he is not happy.
He is unhappy.
He was sitting in the car thinking they were going to push him back off. That's what he was. That's the reason he hadn't gotten out of the car all this time.
Couldn't he see the damage to the rear
well,
wing?
no, he might have seen it, but I think he thought wanted to push him back into the pits.
Left rear was flat on that race car, and
well, he just Sam just pushed up into the left rear. I think what he was hoping, he hit it very lightly. He was hoping they would push him off. He could go in and replace the rear wing and get back in the race. That was why he's mad. But the left rear being flat means you can't push the car back down, you know, all the way around the racetrack with the flat left rear. So they're going to have to put it on the hook.
Okay, we still have that question that you alluded to. Is there some type of suspension damage to number 6?
Yeah, and you know, we don't know that until the green flag comes out. Or we can take a look at it, but you can't really see anything.
Well, nobody has laid out for a pit stop, so apparently your leaders are going to stay on the track under this 4th yellow of the afternoon.
There are just over 30 laps left of the Milwaukee 225. 225 laps, and it has been all cut and thrust action. Now then, we've been discussing the latest of our dramas at trackside. It is, of course, where the 2 Penske cars come together. And I'm sure you at home will have had a view on this as well. And we can take another look at it now. Did he jump, or was he pushed? Was it Sam, or was it Elio's mistake? It seems to be the general consensus here that Sam Hornish gave Elio enough room, and Elio was just coming down the hill very slightly into Sam. Do you stick with that, boys, at the moment? Having seen the replay, John's looking at Paul. Paul's looking at John.
I think that's exactly what happened. There wasn't much in it.
Yeah, I think, you know, as we've said while we were off air there, that Sam definitely got out of the throttle to give Elio the space. Elio turned down for whatever reason. I think maybe he knew the marbles were a bit worse on that point. Unfortunately, he just clipped, and that will put him out.
The one thing you can be sure of, the captain won't be happy.
Well, the drama continues at the Milwaukee Mile, and I've got to say that from a British point of view, it is drama indeed, because Dario Franchitti and Tony Kanaan, the two Andretti Green teammates, have opted to actually stay out on the track. We thought that this yellow would actually suit them, but in actual fact they've stayed out on the track. They feel they can go right to the end, the fuel they had, and we thought it was close in the first place. Let's hear what our commentators have to say then at trackside.
Several laps off the pace.
Yeah, he is going to go back out. That's what he was wanting to do in the first place. He thought he could get back out there and maybe still get some points, but Hornish knew that his best chance was on that restart when he didn't pull off that pass.
Look at the gap between first and second now as you look back at Kanaan.
Yeah, Franchitti has pulled out to a good lead here after that last yellow.
No, quite honestly, had someone told us, Larry, or asked the question of who would you expect to be competitive on the short tracks, we wouldn't exactly say Franchitti, and it looks like he's going to win them back-to-back here at Milwaukee. Well, you see Hornish has gotten around Weldon.
Obviously, that touch didn't hurt Sam Hornish, and he went around the outside of Weldon down there. He just blew by him on the outside, so unbelievable.
Fastest lap of the race so far, and that was turned in by Hornish. Wow. See Castronevic back in the car and being strapped in now, but he's going to be right now he's 11 laps off the pace.
Roger Penske probably said, if you don't win this thing after crashing my other car, you better not pull that thing back in the pits. Might have given him a little incentive, because he is really standing on the gas right now.
He's setting up Kanaan.
Only 26 laps to go, 25 and a half actually.
Going to try the outside of Kanaan off the fourth corner.
And that's where he made the pass the last time with Weldon, right on the outside.
So Scheckter now has the fastest lap of the race.
There he goes, around the outside of Kanaan.
And Kanaan is thinking, how is he doing that?
Over in turn two, Kanaan's not giving up.
He squeezes him, boy. Kanaan did not give him a whole lot of room in that corner.
No.
Going into the corner.
And look at this, Kanaan's still not giving him room. These guys, we said they weren't going to do this here, but Sam Hornish is trying to do it just on the outside.
Gonna make it work.
Yep, finally made it work. Kanaan had no choice. He hung in there as long as he could, but Sam Hornish absolutely on a rail, and those brand new tires might make a difference after all.
You know, Sam may think the only way he can save his hide now is if he wins this thing.
That's right. I mean, he's got to be, you know, the other thing is, those two guys out there, Franchitti and Kanaan, they probably got to dial their fuel down. They probably going to run a little leaner. Ooh, look at Hornish. You got very wide right there. Don't want to crash that thing trying to catch him.
Well, if he wins this thing, it'll make for an interesting interview in victory lane, won't it?
Yeah, sure will.
So now with 23 laps to go, Franchitti still leads, being wound up by Hornish.
Sam Hornish had no choice but to let him go right there. Now remember, Franchitti has got the fuel turned down. He doesn't have as much horsepower, so Hornish has a huge advantage on him. He's got new tires. He can run that thing full rich, full horsepower. Franchitti's got to run it very lean just to make it to the end.
See the donut there on the side pod. Here he comes on the high side.
Wow.
And almost contact again. And there was contact.
Oh, man.
What Brian Barnard's going to have to say about this?
I don't know, but Franchitti, you know, you can crash both of you doing that, and he tried a couple times to crash him. Hornish finally made it all the way around, but I'd have to put that one a little bit, even though Hornish caused the last crash, I'd have to put that one a little bit on Franchitti. He did everything to intimidate him, just couldn't quite do it. But look at him, he's coming back. I think he's turned the wick up. He's mad now. He's either I'm either going to lead this thing or go out trying, but it's going to be tough for him to get back around Hornish.
Well, Hornish, of course, was fast in practice, fast in qualifying. He led the first 113 laps. We've only had 3 different leaders today: Hornish, Weldon, and Franchitti.
Wow, that was probably one of the bravest things I've seen for a long, long time. Sam Hornish running on the outside. Franchitti trying to. Oh, he gets up there.
He gets sideways. He almost gets the fence.
Oh.
Something broke on that race car.
Wow. He got.
Well, maybe something didn't break, but boy, he had to really get out of the throttle. We thought it was a suspension.
He got so high, he had to get out of the throttle. Just
Here comes Kanaan for second.
And we talk about car control. Let me tell you something. He almost spun that thing a couple of different times.
But now the question being, does Franchitti have enough fuel?
Well, he's got 12 more laps to go, and you know, if Sam Hornish wins this race, he just won it by not crashing that last time around, because he did a terrific job not to hit the fence. He hit, I think he actually touched it that second time up there.
Well, they're still saying that he can only go to lap 220.
Well,
but apparently he's not going to make a stop. He's going for it.
Well, that's the only choice he's got now. Now the question is Hornish going to go back up there and try to make that move again and maybe get crashed, or is he just going to wait? Watch this. Sam Hornish gets so high. Watch this. Just enters the corner too high. Just got in too high. Then he's up in the marbles. He slipped there. He slips again right there and almost gets in the fence. And
that's where I thought something broke in the suspension.
Yeah, he was so high. He was clear out of the throttle. He was running, you know, maybe 25 mile an hour slower than he started into that corner at that point, and still was able to manage to hang on to it.
The move on the inside, clean pass that time.
Wow. Well, you got to give him credit. He didn't give up, and he's almost crashed that thing. Let's see if he slows down just a little bit now and doesn't can hang on to this thing without crashing it. Franchitti, you got to give him credit too. I mean,
laps to go.
He did everything he could to win this race.
Down to 7 laps.
Wow, look at the traffic in front of him.
That's Jimmy Kite, the 91 car. There's Scott Sharp. Scott Sharp not having a good day at all. Sharp is 3 laps off the pace, back in 10th position.
And now then Scheckter making a move on Kanaan. Not happy.
Well, Scheckter wasn't too happy with Kanaan on that one.
Looks like the Team Green boys they're doing their share of.
Look at Scheckter on the high side. There's going to be contact. Oh, there was slight contact.
Finally, Kanaan says, "Ooh, I can't do this. I got to get out of the throttle." If he hadn't, there would have been some contact.
Kanaan says, "I'm battling for a points championship here. I need the points. I can't wreck with, 6 laps to go, 5 laps to go."
Schechter's been very quiet back there, but he's really been on the hammer here too. He's really gained a lot of spots. Remember, he was back in 6 spots. He's gotten around Kanaan and Weldon, and he's gaining on Franchitti.
He's up to 3rd with maybe enough laps to get 2nd. A big tire mark, that big donut. You don't see often a donut on the side of an Indy car.
Now look at this. Here comes Scheckter. He's that was Dixon. He went around, but he's got his sights on Franchitti.
7 laps off the pace. 5 laps to go. There's your leader. There's 2nd place.
Well, we'll see.
About a 2nd behind Franchitti.
We'll see if the reports we're getting from pit side are correct. They said he should be running out of fuel here at any point.
At 220, so we're 220 right now.
So far, he's hanging in there.
Right now, here comes Scheckter closing in 3rd.
Now we're being told that Hornish did not take tires on that last pit stop. We were originally told that he was the only one in that group that did take tires. Now we're being told that he did not take any new tires on that last pit stop.
Now is not whether Hornish can hang on, but can Franchitti hang on to 2nd? We know Hornish has the fuel. We know that Scheckter has the fuel. As the laps wind down.
Well, Hornish, all he's got to do now is make sure he doesn't crash that thing. He doesn't want to make a mistake like he made several laps ago and get in there too high. Again, he's running very high on the racetrack, though.
There's Mrs. Hornish. There's Crystal watching from the pit lane.
Well, Franchitti, if he turned the wick down, if he's running lean on fuel, he's not showing it now as he is coming
Look
back.
Look at Franchitti.
He is coming back on Hornish.
Final lap, white flag is out. There's a slower car out in front. Will it come down to a lap car? And here comes Scheckter. The leaders are right behind Carpenter. Carpenter stays up high. Hornish gets by.
Look at Franchitti.
And Franchitti could not get by. It was going to be a lap car, and Hornish takes the victory. Franchitti hangs on for second. Scheckter goes third.
Wow. They did make it to the end. Kanaan made it to the end too. So great job by those two guys. They turned the wick down, but Franchitti, I don't know how they made it on fuel, but boy, he turned it back up there at the end and gave Hornish one heck of a run.
Well, and it'd been interesting to see what would have happened had Eddie Carpenter not been right in the way.
Yeah, well,
he didn't. He tried to stay out of the way, but the fact that he was there.
Well, I think that actually helped Franchitti, because at that point he had a, Hornish had to go one way. He could actually go the other way and hope that something happened. So it actually was a benefit, I think, to Franchitti right there at the end. There's Roger Penske. Of course, they're having some discussions there with one of the IMS officials.
His 6th win here at the Milwaukee Mile.
Wow. Well, I'm sure he's going to have.
Would this be bittersweet? Bittersweet.
6th win here in Milwaukee, but that one a bit nerve-wracking as Sam got way up out of the groove there. What happened?
Well, he got up. He was driving it hard. He wanted to win this when he had a good car at the beginning. Then we got loose, and then, of course, getting into Elio, he felt real bad about that. It's just one of those things that you hate to see, but I guess that's racing. We'll have to talk about it later. But great run for Sam coming back there, and I'll tell you, he's some race driver.
Can we look at the incident involving Sam and Elio, and Roger, maybe just give us a little insight as to what you'd like to see your drivers do in this situation?
Well, I saw it. I don't have to look at it again. He got underneath him and I think started to get out of it on the brake and slid up a little bit and got the rear tire of Elio, and that got him in the wall.
Congratulations on another victory at Milwaukee, Roger.
Well, thanks.
Boy, nothing eludes Roger. I mean, he called that.
He knew exactly what happened. I don't have to look at it again.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
We'll discuss this.
And he says, I don't have to look at it again. I know exactly what happened.
And then he said exactly what happened.
Yeah. Well, Sam Hornish, I'm sure will be making an apology to his teammate here in victory lane, but he certainly drove the wheels off that thing the last 30 or 40 laps. There's nobody could have driven that thing any harder than he did. There's no question about that. And Franchitti, give him a lot of credit. I mean, he could have just laid down and played dead there at the end after he got past, saved the fuel and taken an easy second. But he didn't do that. He went right back after him and almost pulled it off, almost won this thing.
Well, Franchitti hangs on for second. Scheckter third, Kanaan fourth, Weldon fifth. So we'll be going down to Jerry Punch momentarily in victory lane to hear from Sam and that forthcoming apology.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see that.
One of the first things we'll hear, probably.
Yeah, he's got to feel really bad about that. You can see he's not smiling too much, but he drove a heck of a race. He almost crashed a couple of different times, and there at the end, and still managed to win the thing.
Some arms in the air.
Yeah, there's where he and Franchitti got together.
Franchitti got together, yeah.
Franchitti giving him no room.
And moments today, congratulations on your second win of the year.
It was a real good run for the Marble Team Penske crew. The car was a little bit of a handful today with the hot weather conditions. We felt like we had about as much downforce as we could put on it. A lot of close calls out there. It's great to get a win from the team, but it's too bad that Elio and I got together. We were out there racing hard, and we run each other pretty hard. And it was one of those things that really wish that it wouldn't have happened, but at least we got one car in victory lane.
Roger told us a moment ago, told Vince Welch he thought your car might have slipped a little bit and just pushed up as Elliott was trying to make the move, and that's why the contact. What happened?
I got a good run on him and got underneath him, and I thought he would give me the line. But as it gets closer to the end of the race, we give each other probably less and less room. And I tried to hold it down as far as I could on the bottom. I was all the way off the gas and on the brakes, and just got together, and just not enough room out there.
Some great action between you and Dario Franchitti. Some onboard camera coverage. As you take a look here with our monitor, we'll show you. I know you had a better seat than this, but he didn't give you a lot of room. There was a little bit of pushing and shoving out there.
No, there sure wasn't a whole lot of room, but you know, that's not what this short track racing is about. Everybody thinks that that's just for cars with fenders on it and rubbing them and all that stuff. And you know, while we don't like to see it happen all the time, sometimes it becomes a necessity, I guess.
Now you make the pass and then have to come back and save the car in turn two. You had a moment. What happened?
I had a misshift on like the second lap of the race and kind of damaged the gearbox, and just kept getting worse and worse. So I wasn't able to downshift going into one, which was taking the speed off. So I went in there, you know, expecting the car to handle one way, and when you don't downshift and get the nose, you know, planted, the car just pushed right out up into the marbles, and thought the day was over there, but came back and it worked out well for us.
Hey, congratulations. Your mom is from Milwaukee, and obviously a big win here for the Hornish family. Win number 2 on the year, 14th of his career. He is the winningest driver in IRL IndyCar Series competition. Let's go to Vince.
Dario Franchitti with a strong run today, finishing second, taking congratulations from a variety of teams. We saw a donut on the side of Sam's car, and then your car wheeled by here and had a donut on the side of it as well. You guys were getting at it, weren't you?
I didn't know about the donut, but
can you tell? You couldn't tell that you were touching wheels and touching cars during that run?
No. We tried all we could with the RKX car today, but we didn't. It wasn't quick enough, so we did our best. We hung in there. Kyle Moyer made a great call. The boys were great in the pits, but Sam was just stronger than we were, and that was it.
Would you have rather had more fuel at the end so you could have run full rich and had full power instead of having to run less power and lean?
Of course. You know, the lap time difference between the mixtures we were running and full power is massive, so but we did our best with what we had. If we hadn't made that call, we wouldn't have been in the position we were in, so you got to take the you know, the good with the bad there.
Yeah. Good run in points, though. Picked up some extra points today. Well done.
Thank you.
Dario Franchitti.
309 points he now has at this point in the season. Now, you heard him, he didn't know too much about the donuts. Well, I can tell you it was on lap 211, and we'll have a look at it now just to see if there were any donuts. By donuts, they mean the black imprint of the tyre on the side pods of the car. And certainly, at the kind of mile an hour they're doing, John Kirkpatrick, you wouldn't want to be banging wheels, but this is not flower arranging.
Interestingly, I have to say, the donut was there before Sam even got close to Dario, so it'd been another incident somewhere along the way.
There was one particular line I liked from our commentary team over there. Hornish, if he wins it, he's done it by not crashing.
Well, you have to say he'd had a few close calls on it today, hadn't he? I mean, it was the best of 3 falls. I'm sure Roger said down the radio, if you don't bring it back, don't come back.
Well, lap 211, we just saw that a moment ago with Dario Franchitti. On 213, he got it up in the marbles and just glanced the walls. I'm sure it actually touched the wall, John.
I mean, every time I come to watch these programs, I just marvel at Sam Hornish. He just doesn't know when he's beaten, does he? He just keeps coming back.
Of course, it is the second win of the year for Sam Hornish, but it's the first for Penske, despite the fact they've won 6 times here at Milwaukee, not in this IRL IndyCar class.
No, they've struggled because, as we've always said, you know, the Toyota is the variance here, and whilst Penske are probably, without exception, the best team there, and that's no disrespect to Andretti Green, they have their own in-house engine program, and that pays dividends, but the Honda is so strong. Penske are good, all the rest are Hondas.
Well, Thomas Scheckter was well and truly in the mix today as well, and we saw some very brave driving from him. Let's hear from him now.
Thomas, you have to take us through the end there. You guys kept it so exciting all the way to the end, but with TK, he was giving you a little battle there. We saw you shake your fist on the onboard.
Well, you know, I was most probably a little bit frustrated, but he was doing what he can to defend his position. I was coming high. He was using all the road. I saw him pushing me up a little bit, but, you know, we're really good friends, so, you know, it's all right. Maybe I don't feel that bad because I got ahead of him, but it was a great car. Chevrolet gave me a good engine that lasted the whole race. You know, everybody put this together, and you know, I think if it was another 10-15 laps, it would have been a different result, but we have to be happy with the top 3 result.
You know, I wanted to bring up the fact in the last 5 races, this is your 4th top 5 finish, and you had a win in there. What's the difference in you? I know we keep asking, but what is the main difference in you, Thomas?
Rockstar. It's the Rockstar. Yeah.
Oh, you're a rock star. You're drinking Rockstar.
I'm drinking Rockstar, and it keeps me going, and you know, I don't know. We've just clicked, the whole team, from everybody, the mechanics to my engineer, and I never get worried during the race. I mean, the first half of the race, I was really struggling to keep it together, and they just turned it around and gave me a really good car. So, you know, I have to thank my engineer Dave and everybody in the crew for doing such a good job.
Well, it's always.
Thomas Scheckter then finishing in third place. Of course, Dario Franchitti, the Scot, in second place, but the winner, no doubt about it, Sam Hornish. What about Dan Weldon? I mean, he finished in fifth place just behind Tony Kanaan, his teammate, both of them having good drives, but almost struck me as a little bit of a lottery today. It really was a major motor race, wasn't it? Everybody was in the thick of the action, both in pit lane and out on the track, Paul.
Yeah, without a doubt, he didn't have a car to win the race. Yes, he led for a reasonable proportion, but his strategy was good. It got him into that front group, but he didn't have the speed. Those two Penske cars were 2 miles an hour faster most of the race laps. Tony and Dario were dragged to the front again by strategy, and that last yellow helped them on fuel, but they didn't have enough fuel to race on. I'm sure Dan, you know, he'll reflect on this and go good points.
Let's talk about that fuel and tyre situation. Dario Franchitti, obviously Tony Kanaan, they both stayed out on that last yellow, as they did the one before that. So they obviously felt they had enough fuel to get to the end, but maybe they were on vapour.
I think they surely needed the second yellow of the two, even to get inside of the finish. But as Dario said, he had to do something. He had to break the mould somewhere, or he was never going to be there.
But it must have been so frustrating for him, because he must have had the whip turned down in those last few laps. He couldn't surely race at the pace that the others were able to in the end.
No, you're talking about 30 horsepower from full lean to full rich, and that's a lot of power to be giving away. And Hornish had come in, okay, he didn't take tyres on, he'd taken enough fuel, but he'd got it sloshing around, and obviously Dario was sitting there thinking there might only be a litre left, and the best will in the world, he finished second, everyone else would be ecstatic, but he's in there to race to win.
I have to say that two of my favourite IndyCar drivers, Sam Hornish and Thomas Scheckter, two of the real brave drivers out there, finishing in the top three, with Dario looking like a real racer again. He wanted to win this one, there is no mistake about that, is there? Absolutely was about to do anything he possibly could, including rubbing wheels. He's looking like the Dario of old.
He's pretty aggressive in his old age, that's for sure. And I think the other interesting thing is how Scheckter's just learnt patience. You know, he used to be so impatient and aggressive, but often it ended in tears. But yeah, Scheckter's driving well, I think.
Well, Dan Weldon, of course, is our series leader. He is Britain's series leader, had a 73-point lead going into this race. I'll do the calculations in a moment, shortly after we hear from him.
Yeah, I think in all honesty, and you know, you win with the team and you lose with the team, but I think from a team standpoint, we gave Penske, go ahead and give Penske a race, because Penske are always very strong and you've got to give them huge amounts of respect. But I definitely think if we'd have made a bit more of an analytical and sensible decision, we definitely could have won. The car was very good, and you know, I just think with the decision that we made, when you put yourself in traffic with only a short period of time to get to the front, it's very difficult. And it turned out my car was pushing pretty bad behind other cars, so towards the end, so it was I think a wasted result. But you know, nonetheless, it was a top 5 finish, so that's a good thing, I guess.
Dan Weldon retains the points lead over the tied drivers of Dario Franchitti and Sam Hornish for the top 5 finish here today, guys.
And there it is then, minus 68 according to that, because he gets his +1 for the amount of leads that Franchitti had. So after 10 of 17 races, it doesn't quite tally up with what I got here, but then again, what does with my mathematics. Dan Weldon, though, 377 for him, that's an absolute fact. He still leads for Great Britain. Mathematics and me, never very good with those kind of things, John, I've got to say. Nothing's changed since the last time you were here, really.
You and me both.
But it has to be said, to lose just 7 points overall today, he's in it for the long haul. He's heading for this championship at this moment.
You'd like to think so, but you know, there's still 7 races to go. There are a lot of points in the bag still to be won, and you know, his performance over the last 5 races, he's only had one top 5 finish, so he's got to start. That's the second one. He's got to start pulling in the.
We've got it all
big scores.
We've got it all to look forward to do, of course, here on Sky Sports. It's been a great day's racing, plenty of drama. But that's it from Milwaukee. Next weekend we're off to Michigan for the Firestone Indy 400, and you can see the race live on Sky Sports 3 next Sunday. That's on July the 31st at 8 p.m. You will have to join us, of course, for that. In the meantime, though, our congratulations must go to Sam Hornish Jr. What a great drive he had today. My thanks then to our guests, John Kirkpatrick and Paul Cherry. And of course to you for watching. We'll leave you now with some of the highlights from the Milwaukee Mile. Good night.
68 points back in second and third. Kanaan now fourth, 71 points back. So they have closed in a bit, but as we said before, it's still Dan Weldon's championship to win.
It certainly is. And Hornish has had a couple of DNFs, a couple of crashes that really hurt him. You know, the big thing Weldon has to do is finish every race. If he finishes every race, we know he's going to be pretty fast. So the DNFs will make the difference here going into this last stretch, I think.
There's Miller Stadium, the home of the Milwaukee Brewers baseball team, and you can just see the haze in the background. So by far the hottest, most oppressive race we've had to cover probably in the history of the Indy Racing League.
Yeah, and these cars are so hot in there. There's no air that flows through them. So once you get in there and once you get going, it's very, very difficult. It's been a tough day on everybody.
Once again, our congratulations to Sam Hornish after he took his teammate out of the race. He comes back to win the thing. Franchitti was trying to hang on to win 2 in a row after his victory at Nashville last week. And then Scheckter was third, Kanaan was fourth, fifth was Weldon, sixth was Herta. Those 6 finished on the lead lap. So once again, this has been a presentation of ESPN in association with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Join us next Sunday for live coverage of the Michigan Indy 400 from the Irish Hills of Southern Michigan from Michigan International Raceway. Our congratulations once again to Sam Hornish and Team Penske. For Larry Rice, I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us, and so long from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Run is exactly